I remember times when I ain't have shit. No food in my crib, now I live lavish. They say they love me to my face, but I can't stand it. That mo they fuck with me back then, now they attracted. And finna attached to my bro and he gon' blast it. Don't tell me what I've been through, you don't know. Baby, out the mud. Without you, I'm good. For my little bro.
What society be like without me?
I think the great men stay, the trash men go. Where's the trash man? Take them out.
What percentage of men are good and what percentage are trash?
10% are good. 90% are trash. Yeah.
Sure, it's a common notion, perpetual emotion, but I don't need the comfort of any lies. I've seen the ending, and there's no ascending. Rise. Oh, back when I was younger, was told by others youngsters, you might as well be stunted beneath the earth. 'Cause I don't see what they see when they're staring at me. I see a window, a limit's a limit, and not at all.
Please look at me, Adam.
Please, Adam, it's you!
So we're about 2 days post-op here in Japan, and the main concern is your eyes aren't necessarily supposed to look good right after surgery. There hasn't been much swelling or bruising. It was a little worse yesterday, and as I stated in that first video, I am super concerned that what happened with the previous reconstruction is just going to happen again. Like, the swelling pushed my eyes out, made them look normal, but 2-3 months after the procedure, just kind of sink right back into my face, and I'm not going to really have an answer for that until we get our medical imaging and speak to the doctor at the consultation, which is about 5 days from now. So just going to really hope for the best over these next few days, focus on resting and not moving around too much, and then we're going to try to dictate, if there's any possibility of moving the eyes further up more or further apart, it would probably be a smart decision to do it and just get that touch up now while we're here. But that also raises the question of, is all this other stuff that first doctor did, the infraorbital implants, the upper and lower eyelid work, is that making it difficult to determine whether or not your original eye position has been restored? So, from what I can tell from like an IPD perspective, are kind of close to what my original eyes were. Granted, they don't move back or inward anymore. We're pretty close. Would I be happier if my eyes were further apart and further out? Yeah, because that can always be easily addressed with supraorbital implants or stuff like that if your eyes are too far out. But if they're sunken in, there's nothing that can really fix it, and it's a very, very difficult and invasive procedure to do. So that's all we could do. Wait a few days. We'll see what the doctor says, and we'll find out what we're gonna do.
Claire is now single. Chat. I just broke up with my girlfriend. L girlfriend. W fucking community. Because how am I supposed to live stream if I've got some fucking girl spamming my? Oh my God, you're doing this. You're on Monkey talking to girls. It's like I'm not doing that. Like, that's not happening. Me and Wanda are gonna cold approach. W
fucking rowdy kid.
Everyone spam L girlfriend in the chat.
You rated as well. Snaggy.
This nigga said I was ugly. This nigga gotta be gay. I ain't gonna lie, this nigga in this chat gotta be a faggot ass nigga, you heard? I ain't fucking broke though, nigga. You mad broke in the chat, nigga. My money ain't ugly, bitch.
Well, all the money in the world, you will never be able to find a woman to truly love you.
Shut your gay ass up, nigga. Shut your gay ass up, nigga. You get a hole, nigga.
I think that's
You a TikTok nigga. Go
we
to
could
TikTok.
sit here all day, but
you got hoes? You got hoes?
You are a monster.
needles all fucked up.
Jeff Epstein just tipped $4. Yo, my nigga, I hear you got the plug for those fresh Stacy's. Hit me up, nigga. I'm chilling here in Tel Aviv if you ever want to party.
Dude, I can already see clips. Clav injects meth on a... think that I'm crazy.
Chat, we're Looksmaxxing her. We're Looksmaxxing her. It's all good. Dr. Clav?
Hey, chill chat. Hey, chill chat. It's all good. We're Looksmaxxing her. Hey, chill chat. My 17-year-old girlfriend. Don't worry about it, chat. We're just Looksmaxxing her. Now, I want to make this. I want to make this emphatically fucking clear. Okay. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think Clav is like fucking 20 years old himself. I don't see anything wrong with him dating a 17-year-old girl. I'm just gonna say it. Sue me. Take me to court. It would be weird if I did it, right? But it's not that weird. Like TBH. What is fucking weird is him injecting her in the face with fat-burning acid on a live stream to a chat full of people being like, W Clav, W Clav, W Clav. Who is Clav? Well, I guess we'll get into it. But firstly, guys, you might have noticed I'm recovering from my trauma, from my surgery that I had an orbital cranial Lefort 4 jaw reconstructive surgery. Wait, let me show you guys. Let me show you guys what we're dealing with here. What do we think? Rate me out of 10. Realistically, rate me out of 10. Like, okay, sure. I was peak a couple of years ago. I'm on the decline now towards death. But just objectively rate me out. I would rate myself like a 6.5. I think I'm objectively on the like upper end, the upper 50th percentile of like looks and attractiveness. But maybe I'm gassing myself up. Like maybe I just have like too high an opinion of myself. Give me your brutal PSL Looksmaxxing scores in the chat. Don't worry, guys, I can take it. My ego is pretty fucking huge. You know the rule. If you see the Joker jester hat in the corner of the stream, it means it's a piss take. It means it's a troll. It means it's a lob. It means you've been had. You've been done. You've been rug pulled. There is no agenda. There are no talking points. I'm just going to waffle. And fuck, man, if I have to watch this brain rot slop, then so do you. Unfortunately, boys, so do you, okay? Yes, I had a transorbital lobotomy, a Lefort 4 cranial rearrangement surgery. I had my, you don't even want to know about what they did to my maxilla. What they did to my maxilla was fucking crazy, but I've recovered and I'm back. So, I mean, this is objectively not true, but I'm not going to spurg out about it. Guys, put like an evil eye emoji or like a W or something. I put a W, actually. It's in keeping with the theme. Put a W if you know who Clav is, who clavicular is. If you don't, I'm going to have to explain. But I'm hoping that I don't have to explain. I'm really hoping that I don't have to fucking explain who Clav is. Okay. Yeah, well, of course the twink 20-year-olds know who Clav is. But I'm assuming the Gen Xers, the boomers, even some of the old unk millennials like me may not have seen the rise, may not have seen the ascension of clavicular yet. Explain it anyways. Explain it anyway. But W, but explain it anyways. You guys want to hear my take on Clav? I think he's a genius. Said it. There you go. I said it. I think he's a genius. I think he's a genius. I think he's absolutely. What is all this wino white in name only? He's absolutely white. He's an exemplar. He's an exemplar of what it means to be a European male, Aryan male. Absolute Chad. Absolute genius. Wrong about almost everything. But nevertheless, a marketing and a manifestation, a magical genius. Autism will do that to you. Don't worry, I'm not going to chew your ear off about like magic tonight and astrology and why Clav being a Sagittarius and also having his Zoomer Pluto in Sagittarius. Pluto is like the sex death drive. Because the Zoomers have Pluto in Sagittarius, they're very concerned with finding an ideology to believe in before they die. And if they're not presented one by the Catholic Church or by some schizo on the internet, they will just make one up. But relax. I'm not going to talk to you about why Clav being a Sag and having his Pluto in Sag is responsible for this shit show. I'm just going to witness it with you. We're going to witness it together. Let's just witness it together. Let's just go down this fucking road. Whoa. Just go down this road together. All right, boys? It's going to be a long night. I have much to discuss. Let me read this chat. Let me see. Looksmaxxing is gay. He's just gay. Wow, guys. Really? Looksmaxxing is just gay, huh? Wow. I'm going to have to break out the PSL. I'm going to have to break out the PSL scale, huh? I'm going to have to break out the fucking PSL scale and educate some of you motherfuckers. Looksmaxxing is just gay. Okay, I guess caring about the way you look is just gay. Hey, why don't you just shit yourself? If you think caring about the way you look and caring about how you're presented and caring about whether or not you're perceived as attractive by other people if you think that's irrelevant, if you think that's not important, if you think that's gay, just shit yourself. Just shit yourself and roll around on the floor in your own shit, in your own feces. Clearly, Looksmaxxing is Chad. Clearly, Looksmaxxing is Alpha. Clearly, Looksmaxxing is... So you're all wrong. I will literally go off about this all fucking night about how you're all fucking wrong. Looksmax W, Clav W, but whatever. All right, let's just... Guys, here's Clav explaining why... Firstly, 17-year-old girlfriend aside, here's Clav explaining why he takes methamphetamine to stay lean.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Long time no see on the YouTube channel, but today we're back at you with another informational video, and today is definitely going to be a crazy one, but we're going to be talking about why methamphetamine might actually be more practical than something like Adderall. So methamphetamine and Adderall are almost identical except for the addition of the methyl group to methamphetamine, obviously. That one methyl group that gets added to make it into methamphetamine, not just amphetamine, allows it to cross the blood-brain barrier in a lot more of an efficient manner. The thing that you guys need to understand is that there's two isomers of meth, and
it's not that I've been up for 6 days. It's that I'm on stimulants. I'm abusing methamphetamine because it is the best way to stay skinny. If you don't have access to tapeworms, a really good way, no one's going to tell you about this because it's kind of gross, but a really good way to lose weight and to stay lean is to eat a tapeworm. Because what that'll do is it will actually digest a lot of the calories for you. It will kind of parasitize calories from you. It's a very old trick. One of the oldest tricks in the book, actually, is getting a tapeworm and ingesting it and eating it.
The L-methamphetamine is the one that often tweakers are using, which gives meth the bad rap that it has. But a lot of people don't realize that something called disoxin, which is D-methamphetamine, is often prescribed by doctors. Now, while Adderall is quite similar, it does not contain any methamphetamine or any methyl groups. It is simply a 75-25 blend of dextroamphetamine and levoamphetamine. Now, you see, the dextroamphetamine is exactly what you want, right? And it's very good that it's a favorable 75-25 blend of...
Clav here advertising dextroamphetamine, right, as a good midpoint between Adderall and regular amphetamine. Guys, this is important stuff that you need to know if you're going to be taking the Looksmaxxing pill. Leviathan here with our first decent comment. 44 motherfuckers in the chat. First decent comment. Looksmaxxing was at its peak on TikTok like 1 or 2 years ago. Well, yeah, it was. Okay, so this is the first thing you got to understand. Looksmaxxing is a business. This is why I call Clavicular here a genius. Insecure guys found a way to monetize the insecurity of other insecure guys. This is genius. Insecurity, by the way, not necessarily a bad thing. We don't have the studies, we don't have the raw data, but it wouldn't surprise me massively if there was a connection between people who are billionaires and people who have micro penises. Insecurity, overcompensating for something, is usually a good way of achieving something in life. That said, there is a fine line between like Looksmaxxing and just straight up like autogynephilic vanity, which I think our friend Clav kind of slips into. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make is that Looksmaxxing, is a business. Yeah, it started one or 2 years ago, but it started 1 or 2 years ago with influencers, people like Clav who were trying to make it relevant. We've had 2 years now for them to influence a bunch of young men with Pluto and Sagittarius, a bunch of young men desperate for, yearning for ideology, yearning for a regime, a dogma, a protocol, something to believe in, some rules to follow. Enter someone like Clav, someone who's selling you the protocol, selling you the regime. Hit your head like with a hammer until your jawbones start microfracturing and then gluing each other back together. Why is he rising to prominence now? Because enough people have tried this and realized that actually it works. It works. That's the funny thing. I don't know if you guys have realized it works. Fucking hell. So that's why he's risen to prominence now. It's not just random. Like nobody's taken him and plucked him out of obscurity and put him there. The reason he's famous now is because his big following. because the stuff that he's doing actually works. So yeah, your comment is not wrong, but it's kind of moot. Like, Looksmaxxing is a TikTok business. Fundamentally, it's a marketing business by and for insecure men. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. And point two, yeah, the 2 years is important only because we've had 2 years to grow. We've had 2 years to fester. We've had 2 years to become this thing now. It's morphed. It's a movement. It's an egregore. It's an egregore, guys. Fuck. All right. Some of you guys came in with your ratings of me. 2 out of 10, fair. 7.5 for Unk, decent. I mean, I'll take these 7. These 7s are very flattering, boys. I wouldn't go as far as 7. I understand that the rules have changed. Back in my day, back in Uncle George's day, you just needed, as a guy, you just needed to have like nothing obviously wrong with you, like no hideous like genetic deformities, a decent haircut, and like a suit, like a nice suit. Nobody wears suits anymore, right? That doesn't fit with the age of Aquarius. So it's like, we need other ways to stand out as men. We're all peacocking like the mice in the Mouse Utopia experiment. Who is familiar with the Mouse Utopia experiment? The Callahan, I believe, was the name of the biologist. If you know, I'm going to put the link in the chat. If anybody knows about the Mouse Utopia experiment and knows about it in detail and would like to call into the stream. Call in and let me know about it, because I would love someone to explain it in more detail. I don't, like, without Googling, I'm not going to find anything right now. But I do remember that the last generation of mice in that experiment, was it Callahan or Calhoun? I don't remember. The doctor, the guy who ran the experiment, he referred to this last generation of mice as the beautiful ones. The beautiful ones. They would, because on account of the fact that they would just sit in their dens, in their burrows all day, grooming themselves and masturbating. They were the prettiest generation of mice that experiment had ever produced, right before the experiment collapsed. Like right before. One of the signs that the empire might be crumbling is this shit. W Clav, by the way. W meth, by the way.
Dex versus Levo, because dextroamphetamine is responsible for the mental benefits that you get from Adderall. Now, Adderall is 75% dextroamphetamine, which is responsible for the mental benefits of the drug, like the dopamine release, but 25% of it is.
Okay, give me a second, because I need to pull up like a JS Paint window, right? Like I'm going to need to do some drawing, or I'm at least going to need to find a Google image of a PSL scale so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Because there are flagrant fucking, this is what I'm talking about, by the way, about Zoomers and about ideology. Like you guys, it's black or white. The tap is either on or off with you guys. No nuance, no subtlety. Pluto Sagittarius, right? Like, you Looksmaxxing is gay, Looksmaxxing is base, Looksmaxxing is cringe. Dude, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Whoa. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's obsessive and compulsive and neurotic and vanity. And sometimes it's fucking based. If you're a 4 out of 10, yeah, you should probably be Looksmaxxing to ascend 2 points, right? If you're a 6, if you're a 7, chill out. Go make some fucking money. Go practice charisma. You know, like The Sims, like on the video game, you know how you level up your Sims charisma in the video game The Sims? The Sim just goes and talks in the mirror. Like, that's what you got to do. You got to go do that now. Yo, don't make me, you know, the charisma pill is so much more brutal than the status pill or the money pill or the looks pill. All right, remind me at the end of the stream to fucking mog you all with the charisma pill. That's gonna fuck you. You think Looksmaxxing is bad? Holy shit.
Levoamphetamine, which gives you that active, stimulated feeling. Now, thank God you have a favorable ratio of 75-25 Dex versus Levo, because Levo.
I don't even know what he's saying at this point. He's just naming fucking, this guy's just naming fucking abstract chemical compounds at this point. We will dissect the autism of Clav as an individual shortly. But I just want to say, from Varg Vikinus 1488, lol, hot take, good looking people can't make fun of legitimate Looksmaxxing. I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Who the fuck do you think you are to criticize someone for trying to better themselves? By the way, as a man, Looksmaxxing, very fucking easy. Because women, very easily deceived. Where a lot of the Looksmaxxers go wrong is they actually don't try and appeal to women. They don't try and appeal to the female gaze. They try and appeal to the male gaze. Sometimes they don't even know that they're appealing to the male gaze because they're surrounded by Looksmaxxers who are all chudded men like them, who are all like, you know what I mean? So they're like trapped in this fucking vicious cycle of like just Looksmaxxing and like, we need to, sorry. Let me get back to Clav. He's pitching you meth. Guys, he's pitching you meth. He's pitching meth as like a fucking elevator pitch. Meth? Question mark?
Is completely garbage. That's where meth really outshines Adderall. Methamphetamine's lack of the levo isomer really makes it ideal for doing task-oriented things that don't require any physical exertion. In terms of pure mental focus for sustained
bench press, very important for your own confidence, right? Again, confidence is the key to everything, but you need to look good in order to be confident. That's what nobody tells you. Like, you do need to look good at least by your own standards. So the bench press, 100%. We have to be brutal about how much it comes down to face, though, don't we? Do we have to be brutal about how much, like, everyone's attractiveness, male and female, comes down to face? And this is what I mean by, like, it is actually easier for a man to mock, because you can, like, kind of invest a bit in your wardrobe, invest a bit in looking like you have status, and it's okay. Imagine women, like, it's way, like, okay, simp take, but it's way harder for women. It's way harder for women because men are visual creatures. Men are so visual. You can't fucking lie to the male brain about hip to waist ratio unless you literally use a filter and, like, change it. You know, it's mathematic. It's mathematic. You can't fool the male brain. The female brain is easily fooled. And I just think that a lot of these guys, they have male brains. So they're so analytical and visual and mathematical. That's why you get these PSL scales and these analyzing of, like, you're at this point that, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, female attraction, thank fuck this is the case, by the way, for most of you, because you wouldn't stand a fucking chance. But female attraction is actually based on vibes. It's actually mostly based on, like, energetics and vibes. And again, a lot of that comes from how good you look because of how you feel about yourself and how other people treat you in front of women, which matters a huge amount. But, like, no. It's a lot of you are applying this, like, mathematical, masculine precision, and you're not focusing anywhere enough on, like, and by the way, before someone says, oh, nobody actually does this, this is an internet phenomenon, Clav is a lol cow, whatever, shut the fuck up. I've met people, I know people well who have been down the Looksmaxxing path, and it's fucking painful.
Periods of time, meth is really going to outshine Adderall in every regard. Now, the issue is dopamine is extremely neurotoxic, right? So you have to understand that meth has a high risk profile if used incorrectly. If you're exceeding the therapeutic dosage of meth on a consistent basis, that dopamine toxicity is going to be severely detrimental.
What I love about him is he's so fucking autistic that he even tells you how to use meth properly, like, without becoming addicted and frying your dopamine receptors. And he's, like, literally using methamphetamine for Looksmaxxing. It's not like a cope. It's not like a meth addict who justifies his meth addiction by looking good. It's a Looksmaxxing addict who's justifying his Looksmaxxing addiction by smoking meth. Can you even understand the psychology of what I'm talking to you about? Like, can you even fucking like the stream, please? Holy shit.
Detrimental to your cognition over time. Now, meth is going to be much more addictive due to its long-acting nature. So for most people and most normies, they're going to wind up abusing this stuff because of how easily accessible it is and how cost-effective it is to use methamphetamine over something like Adderall and other stimulants.
Half of this generation is bisexual. Half of the men in this generation are bisexual. It's a fact. It's a black pill. It's a fact. I don't want to talk about it more. I don't want to talk about it more because it makes me sad.
So I really have to tread lightly on what I'm talking about here, but this is just theoretical. And if we're talking about normal dosing protocols that don't exceed the neurotoxicity threshold, then I have shared and made my claim on why I think it is much more superior than something like the Adderall with the 2 isomers.
You and me both, bud. I'm on a heavy dose of amphetamines 4 times a day. So I just needed to show you guys that. I just needed to fucking show you guys that. We're going to watch an interview with Clav. We're going to dissect the person a little bit more. We're going to dissect the human being a little bit more. Like I say, I don't want to go occult with it. I don't, although maybe I'll do it in the Black Library at some point. We'll look at his natal chart. What I really want to talk about and focus on, I guess, or what I want to yap about and get off my chest is this, like, cultural phenomena. It's very age of Aquarius. Like, it's very fucking age of Aquarius. You know, Saturn is at home in Aquarius. You will notice people looking younger, longer in this aeon. That's an obvious thing. It's just like, I mean, either it's just symptomatic of the times, and the times, they are changing. If you don't believe me, watch my last stream. Or it's symptomatic of the end of the world, of total collapse, of the death of civilization, of Western civilization. Cast your votes now. 1 for, oh, this is just a trend, it will be over soon. And 2 for, like, this is the literal death of Western civilization. Let's watch this interview with Clav. pop up ad blocker working.
Today's guest has redefined the meaning of self-improvement.
I maximize all metrics of my life. I've just come to the conclusion, based on anecdotes, based on numbers, that looks are the most important metric, and it would be insane to not prioritize them.
He began injecting testosterone at just 14 years old, claiming that natural puberty wasn't optimized for the modern world.
I started with 300 mil.
All right, point one. Sorry, I see one thing that reminds me of something I have to say, and I'm like, it's a meth. It's the Adderall. A lot of these Looksmaxxing guys, the genius ones I'm talking about, the Clav type ones I'm talking about, and they are, you cannot take it away from them, autistic marketing geniuses. There's two types of people selling you shit on the internet. Types of people who want to sell you shit that's actually going to help you, and people who want to sell you shit that's potentially going to hurt you, if at worst hurt you and at best waste your time. 90% of the people selling you stuff on the internet are the latter category, right? But Clav, you could actually make a solid argument that Clav is selling people information with his courses and his knowledge and stuff that is actually going to help them to a certain extent, as long as they don't become like him and become like body dysmorphic psychopath and take it too far, Narcissus staring into the pond. My problem with Clav isn't that he sells stuff. My problem is that he's like taking it to an unhealthy extreme, and that he's selling now the unhealthy extreme. I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm saying, but like, I'll give you an example, and this is what reminded me of it. There is this idea that you can ascend on the PSL scale by like 5 points. You can go from being a 4 to being a 9 by Looksmaxxing. You can add like 2 or 3 points onto yourself by Looksmaxxing if you don't get like surgeries and stuff. And most of the surgeries come out fucking botched, let's be honest. You can add like 2, maybe 2.5 points onto yourself by Looksmaxxing. That's true. That's just a frank truth. But guys like this, guys like Clav, who have had 5-point ascensions, 3 of those points are from puberty. 3 of those points are from hormones, from adolescence, from growing up. And then the other 2 points are from growing up as an autistic psychopath who's mildly autogynephilic and like gets, or no, it wouldn't be autogynephilic. It would be autophallophilic. I don't know. He's a bit gay. He's a bit gay for himself. It's hard to explain. We'll get into it in a second. Not gay like you think. I don't want it to just reduce down to this binary take, all right, of like, oh, Looksmaxxing equals gay, because it doesn't. It's a lot of things. It's much more a generational thing. It's much more a Zoomer male thing. Plus in the autism, plus in the fucking insecurity, and you start cooking the concoction of this specific type of body dysmorphia.
Milligrams of testosterone, and I did that for a while up until I was 16. I'm 100% confident that I made the right decision in my life, and I'm so glad that I look a little bit more mature.
Today at 19, he's garnered a massive audience online, where he says that everything in life is determined by one thing.
So it's $35,000 for a double jaw surgery with full facial implants. I know the amount of money that I'm investing will pay itself off to a huge degree.
In this episode, we'll dive.
Bro, he's not even finished ascending yet. I think he's a good-looking guy. I'm like, you know what I think my advice for clavicular would be? Stop. Just stop and like maintain that. See if you can maintain that so you're not like cooked when you're my age. That would be my advice. But like, you know, he's not going to listen to like every generation thinks that they invented sex and drugs and the Jewish question. You know what I mean? You just got to let the kids fuck it up on their own. You can't try and intervene. It just makes it worse.
Dive into the psychology of human attraction, explore his philosophies on genetic determinism, and unveil the extreme measures some men.
Seeing as you're asking for the black pills early, charisma, Greek, for chosen by, favored by the gods. That's literally what it means. That's the closest translation we have in English. Divinely favored. Yeah, so I don't think charisma is something you can, I just want to be clear, I don't think charisma is something you can get by leveling up in front of the mirror, right?
Take to maximize their looks. What drugs do you take in a day?
I'm taking testosterone every single day. Take 7.5 milligrams of Accutane a day. I use crystal for hollow cheeks. I'm not a huge longevity guy.
Based W Clav.
Thank you, sir.
Fuck yeah, man. Like, I just love it. I just love it. I love it. You can't not laugh. It's so funny. Like,
take me back to 14-year-old Braden. What was the exact moment you decided that not?
Of course, this motherfucker's name is Braden. So good.
Natural puberty wasn't enough.
Well, I have always had the mentality that if something is going to get you to your goals quicker, then why not go for it, right? So when I was a kid, obviously I wasn't the most well-versed in pharmacology, so I didn't exactly know what I was doing, but I knew that it would help me get...
Mouse cat. I just want to say, mine too. Mine too. It was all about Riz. It was all about, of course, you couldn't be like a slob, like a fat slob. And of course, you couldn't be like literally disfigured, like hideously disfigured, like Quasimodo looking motherfucker. But unless you look like that Marlon guy, you know, from the white guy who somehow looks black from like Canada or whatever, who's like as close as you can get to what the Looksmaxxers froth over. Unless you're that guy, all guys basically look the same. Women only really notice male attractiveness when it's really, really peak. So we all basically look the fucking same, apart from the hideous guy. I'm talking about guys from about 5 till about 8 on the spectrum. As far as women are concerned, we all look the fucking same. So how do you stand out? Confidence, Riz, like social signaling. Let me see if I can find that clip. Actually, let me see if I can find that clip of that fat guy who just absolutely mogs. Hold on, let me see.
To the place I wanted to be at a lot more efficient rate. So, you know, skipping out on that, just
do I type in just like fat guy mogging? I don't know.
Seemed ridiculous. I thought, why would I work out as a natural, take years to make the progress that I can make in months? It didn't make sense to me at all. I was never worried about side effects. I was just worried about progressing, right? So that's kind of always been my mentality. I'm all or nothing with everything that I do. And I just needed to do it, you know.
Was there a specific moment that you remember where you were like, yeah, I'm just gonna hop on testosterone, like when you're 14?
Just really taking a look at, you know, what was possible and in terms of time frame. I wanted to get to my goals as quickly as possible, right? Because I always thought the idea of, you know, telling people you work out and talking about all this stuff, but you're not big, to be just kind of ridiculous. It's like, dude, you know, what are you actually getting after? So I was like, I'm going to get my physique going as quickly as possible. I do not care about side effects. I don't care about any implications of, oh, this guy's using drugs. Like,
now, for a second, let's just think how much bombardment the brain of the young Zoomer must be under to at 19 years. Well, he said much earlier, right? He's been taking roids since he was like in his fucking mid-teens. How much messaging from social media. And it makes sense, you know, like I can't even hate this kid because like he's smart and he's autistic and he's kind of trying to game the system to the point where it's become an obsession and to the point where it's consuming him from within and he kind of looks dead in his eyes, kind of has Bonnie blue eyes a little bit. But like, you kind of got to respect the hustle because he's looked at the situation autistically and been like, well, all I know is social media. I interact with more people and see more people. I see more of the world through other people's eyes than my own eyes at this point. And all I know is a world in which good-looking people succeed and ugly people fail because I was raised on fucking social media. How did you expect the kids that were raised on social media to come out? He's actually one of the winners because at least he's using his insecurity to like get money off other insecure like people. You know what I mean?
None of that shit really fazed me. So I just wanted to, you know, get to my goals as efficiently as possible.
So your mom, she competed.
Okay, dude, this sounds really weird, but like I've had women tell me in the past that they've like masturbated to voice notes that I've sent them. Women are weird, man. Like women are strange. They're not like us, dude. They're not like us. They're really not like us. I don't know how to stress this. Again, it might not be auditory necessarily, but it's definitely not visual in the way we are. Thank fuck. Women pretend a lot because male sexuality makes women feel insecure. So women pretend to froth over like the male form and stuff. But women, have you ever seen women at a strip club? Have you ever seen women at a strip club where there's like a naked man dancing around and like a male stripper and there's like 10 women? It's not like at a male strip club. It's like they're all laughing and joking like, he, look, he's naked, huh? At a male strip club, it's like 10 dudes and one chick dancing on a pole and they're all like, ugh. Like it's a different energy. It's a different energy. Like men lust after the female form. Like we crave it. Like we need it to fucking breathe. Women couldn't really give a fuck if you have abs, especially if you're like not funny or confident or you're broke or like whatever. You know what I mean? Like fuck, man.
As a bodybuilder and your dad.
I don't want to minimize looks. I don't want to say that looks aren't important. Looks are very important and they're increasingly becoming more important. But I just mean there are other things that you can do to compensate and to make up for it. Like I say, billionaire micro peni. I'm sure.
Lifts, works out. How did your parents react when you told them that you wanted to start taking tests?
Yeah, let me just leak all the magic for free. And let me just leak all the magic for free. I'll be a pretty shit wizard if I leaked all the magic.
For a while, my parents would, you know, go through my room and find steroids, often confiscate them. So that'd be a bit of a burden because sometimes I'd have to go like a few weeks without injecting testosterone. Well, you know, they confiscated it. So it was
I
hard at
love
first,
these
but
streams,
eventually
man.
I
I love
started
these
to
streams where we
realize
don't
that there
actually
was
like
nothing
stick
that
to a topic, and I could just yap and waffle, and people put like comments like tangential, but thoughts on jelking?
they could do about it. I was always going to do whatever it takes. So, you know, once I had that realization, it got a little bit easier for everyone because, you know, they stopped confiscating it and kind of just chose to plead it.
Yeah, well, look, we started this shit, the millennial red pillars, and I guess, and you know, I didn't really do the red pill about the women thing, although I definitely believed in it in my own personal life. And by the way, magically speaking, you attract what you believe exists in the world. If you think all women are like obsessed with status and looks and whatever, then those are the women you'll see, those are the women you'll notice, and those are the women who will be in your life. It's not, you don't even have to really believe in anything spiritual or anything woo to understand the process that I'm talking about. What you believe informs your reality in terms of what you notice and the information that you take in. Me and Zerka and other people of that ilk are very responsible for fucking up an entire generation of like young Zoomer men. I think about this often. Zerka and the damage he's done. I mean, he's a Pisces. He doesn't know any better, but like, fuck, man.
Ignorance on everything I was doing in terms of my pharmaceuticals. So that was kind of a tough thing to deal with at first.
Catch up, mate. Catch up.
But it got easier over the years.
So you were a freshman at the time?
Correct.
So freshman in high school, were you playing any sports? Were you looking at any of your friends that had better physiques than you? Were you kind of looking at your parents' physique? Did they take testosterone? Like, what kind of really led to the decision ultimately?
I'm going to make the argument, Saskia, that Clav's brain was fried before all of the drugs and before all of the steroids and before all of that. Like, Clav has that particular and peculiar blend of like autism and monomania, and which I guess comes from the tism. And like, I think narcissism is the only real way to describe it. But I think it's born of trauma, and I think it's born of insecurity, if I had to guess. Right? Just being a wild guess.
What do you think?
That's a good question. I wouldn't even say it was influenced by anyone else. It was a purely logical decision, you know, in terms of looking at, you know, mechanisms of action and things of this nature. Like, you know, if I could, you know, increase this growth pathway by this means, and I'm absolutely going to do it. I didn't really see people like David Lade and think, oh, I want to be like this guy. I'm just like, you know,
you see how much of a fucking subculture this shit is? Like, seriously, you see how much of a subculture this is? I don't know who David Lade is. I don't know who any of these fucking people are. Am I supposed to? Am I that old? Like, who even was that just then? That dude looked like he was AI generated. Like, the fuck?
This makes sense mechanistically.
So I feel so sorry for the Zoomer brain and increasingly the Gen Alpha, Gen Beta brain, just bombarded nonstop with these signals. You know, imagine you're a Generation Beta, like you're 7 years old, and all you've known is the scroll. Like, all you know is the scroll. Like, think how fucking body dysmorphia. You would look in the mirror and you'd see yourself as this like just hideous, like dysgenic. Like, it's so fucked. It's so cooked. It's so.
I'm going to do it. Like, I'm a hyper-logical guy. So, and I don't really get
hyper-logical, definitely on the spectrum.
Influenced by other people.
Did you read about it online? Like, how did you find like how much tests you should take? Where did you buy it at that age?
So I spent a lot of time on bodybuilding forums.
Speaking of meth, we've summoned him from the ether.
Bodybuilding.com, things like this. And I did a fair bit of research. Obviously, I was, you know, not doing enough research at the time. There's things that I messed up. But just going on forums was pretty much the main thing that got me into it at the start. I relied on a lot of popular resources like, you know, Derek Conflates More Dates to kind of accumulate the knowledge required for me to be able to take a jump into this whole world of, you know, pharmaceuticals and steroids. So that took a little while for me to.
So he's telling you, Zerka, more plates, more dates. He's telling you the influences. He's telling you he's downstream of a bunch of millennial dickheads making content for young men and creating this culture of like, bruh.
To kind of nail things down. But I would say that I kind of just got lucky at the start with me doing things the right way, right? Because looking back, I didn't know what I was doing, but somehow I just happened to get it right, you know?
So how much did you take?
I started with 300 milligrams of testosterone, and I did that for a while. up until I was 16. And then I experimented with a couple of orals. And finally, when I was 17, I began to use Masteron as well, which is a DHT derivative, because I started learning a little bit about puberty maxing. I would say that 16 and 17 is where I really started to kind of correct myself. And
it's also coincidentally when he hit puberty. Interesting comment from this guy. His balls may have shrunk from the steroids. No, his balls have shrunk from the steroids. So I saw a really, really interesting clip of an interview between Clav, Clavicular, and Sneeko. And he was saying that he's technically infertile at the moment because of the level of like testosterone replacement that he's on. And I guess maybe this is true. Somebody tell me, I don't know. I've never taken it. But maybe this happens to all people who take TRT. Like that your balls naturally stop producing testosterone on their own, meaning that you don't make semen, meaning that you are technically infertile. All of these guys think that at some point in the future, 10, 15 years down the line, when their UNC status and Looksmaxxing is no longer relevant, that they'll be able to just like stop taking test and that their balls will somehow magically remember how to make test like when they were in their, like when they would just post puberty. I don't think that's a great idea. I'm not a doctor. I just want to say this is not medical advice, but like he is literally infertile currently. I do think you can take this shit a little too far. Am I against taking roids in principle? No, not at all. I actually think it's like pretty, of all the things you could do, it's pretty fucking mild. But like, is there such a thing as taking too many roids?
Get things going in the right way with, different growth hormone secretagogues and mechanisms that otherwise wouldn't have been optimized. So I started using things like aromatase inhibitors because estrogen, a lot of people don't know, men have estrogen. It's required, for a lot of things like sexual function.
Magic is literally the only way to give yourself more confidence and charisma. Like adopting a magical mindset, understanding that belief is a tool, the basic principles and frameworks of like something like Thelema, something like Spare's work, like what later has what has become known colloquially as chaos magic, like that mindset, those practices, that toolkit is the only way to gain any confidence, to gain any charisma, to get any of that shit. It's like, and even then, most people don't have an affinity for it or an ability at it. Like one thing I've realized over the last few months is like, not everybody is magical. Like not everybody has the ability in them to be good at magic for various reasons.
That also cause your growth, plates to close prematurely. So what I did was I took something called an aromatase inhibitor, which prevents the conversion of testosterone.
You're getting it. You're getting it. You're getting it. This is it. This is it. You have to be Machiavellian. You have to be Machiavellian. Be like, hey, look, man, Clav's a genius. You can see Clav as this like symptom of a sick society and like bitch and moan about it. Or you can take from Clav the useful advice, reject the unuseful advice, learn from him. But really a wise man learns from other men's mistakes. He doesn't learn from making the mistakes himself. You watch Clav, see what happens to Clav, learn from Clav. Maybe use Clav as a guinea pig, see how Clav's doing in 5 years' time. That would be my...
And that way I would be able to grow for an extended period of time. Right. So things like that, I didn't pick up on until I was a little bit older. So I just started off with the steroids and the basic stuff. And then I got into like really optimizing every single mechanism possible at around 16 or 17. That's where the Masteron came in, because with it being a DHT derivative, that was going to help with obviously some penile growth, a little bit of masculinization. So that was something that was used at the right time. After, you turn 18, and your penis stops developing, there's no reason to use DHT derivatives.
Bruh. When you're 14 and you're into Looksmaxxing before you've finished puberty, there are things you can do to grow your penis, guys. You might not agree with it. Ethically, morally, you might be wigged out by it, but that's useful information to someone, isn't it? I mean, like what?
But I kind of...
Again, it's not useful to everyone. But if you have a really small penis, like it might be something that might be useful information. Like, what?
Use it at the perfect time.
So how much extra growth would you say you had on like just your height alone?
I would speculate that about 1.5 inches of my height would be attributed to, the things that I did. Because while my dad is 6'1", my mom is only 5'4". So, I would assume that I would probably be a little bit shorter than I am, by about an inch and a half, but it really is hard to say.
So you say you're very logical about your looks and the different types of drugs you experiment with, but a lot of people will think there's something deeply emotional about a teenager deciding that puberty isn't enough. Do you think there was any pain you were trying to solve?
I really don't think so. And that's going to be something that a lot of people aren't going to believe me on. But that's just not my personality at all, right? In terms of insecurity, it's just not something I've really ever experienced. Like, I've been hyper aware that, over the course of development, there are some points in
Now listen closely, because the guy's telling you he doesn't consider himself to be insecure.
my life where I really was like very, suboptimal in terms of my aesthetics, but I was like okay with that because I knew that there was things that I could do, and I knew that the measures would be extreme. But I was like, well, this is kind of what.
Here is the PSL scale. Often you see this 1 through 5. Often you see this broken down into a bunch of different categories. I don't care about the Looksmaxxing terminology and jargon, okay? You probably can't see my cursor either, so I'll talk you through it. If you're a 1 and you're cooked, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, go and read the work of Charles Bukowski. Go and Google the character of Serge Gainsbourg and look and see that it is possible, at least, to mog in some fields of life, even when you are hideous, like whatever. Now, if you're a 2 through 6, Looksmaxxing can help you. Realistically, if you're a 2 through 6, Looksmaxxing can help you go up or down by about 2.5 points. If you start Looksmaxxing in puberty or during puberty, or is increasingly is becoming the case in a really scary, horrible way, pre-puberty, then maybe it can even knock you up by a full 3 points, 4 points. In the case of someone like Clav, 5 whole points or whatever the fuck he claims in his. Okay. If you're at the upper end, if we're talking 7, 8, 9, 10, and you're into Looksmaxxing, you are a faggot. You are a homosexual man. There is nothing that can be done to solve it. It's terminal. It's a brain disease. Like, it's really, you are absolutely cooked. And I would argue, actually, more cooked than the dude down on the 1 end of the scale. If you're on the 7, 8, 9 end and you're into Looksmaxxing, it really is over, because you have a body dysmorphia or face dysmorphia, where you have some kind of dysmorphia. And it's really fucking over for you. All of the time that you spent Looksmaxxing is basically wasted because of this crazy thing called Saturn and the process of human aging. All of your beauty is going to evaporate into dust anyway. It doesn't matter how pretty you look. It doesn't matter how hard you bench press either. Look at The Rock right now. All of your muscles, all of your roid use, all of your pretty boy good looks, everything is all going to fade into dust. We are just dust, shadows and dust. You can't take your beautiful good looks with you. It's kind of a subsequent point that I would like to get across. Anyway, back to the dude who's on meth. I don't want to divert from Clav's interview too much, but you see what I mean? If you're like a 1, it's over. If you're 2 through 6, yeah, definitely take some time, invest in some Looksmaxxing, probably work out really good for you. 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, 10s don't exist. It's all relative. Okay, but 7, 8, 9, fuck me. 7, 8, 9, and you're worried about Looksmaxxing. You're worried about if you mog. Jupiter gave you gifts and you just spunked them. You just spunked them everywhere. It's disgusting, actually. And yes, he is obviously. Again, it's an obsessive, compulsive mind. I would love to see the full natal chart and work out like where is Nessus. You know what I mean?
What it takes, and I was always someone who's willing to do whatever it takes.
So would you say it made you more confident after you did do these things?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's for the best because you get to experience life on the other side, right? These Looksmax creators, we're all genetically gifted. They don't really understand, how it is to grow up.
Craziest take. This is too black pill for me. You lose me when you start saying shit like this, man. You had some good comments before, and I was reading them, and I was agreeing with you. But then you just come out with some shit like this. Yeah, but you can't be funny if you're ugly, motherfucker. I'm gonna have to go full screen. I can't believe it. You made me full screen. You should be ashamed, bro. I would argue that funny is only for ugly people. Hot take, I would argue that funny is only really for ugly people. Matt Rife is the only good-looking guy that I can think of who's a mainstream stand-up comedian who's conventionally attractive. Matt Rife is the only one I can think of. Every single other comedian is weird-looking or funny-looking or flabby or just fucking morbidly obese. They always have something wrong with them. Funny is the mating strategy that ugly people develop so they don't have to worry about Looksmaxxing. why funny? Because funny is the quickest way. Women's attraction is based on pre-selection. That's why they're into men if other women are into them. That's a black pill. But like women select based on traits and indicators. So if you can show a woman that you're funny, it's the quickest way of her knowing that you're smart. Which is why you literally hear women say things like, "Oh yeah, he made me laugh so much that he laughed his way into my pants," etc., etc. It's men who are becoming obsessed with looksmaxxing. It's men, lonely men, atomized, ostracized men in communities of other men who are becoming obsessed via the male gaze with looksmaxxing. So I just like really reject this whole thing of like, you can't be funny. Yeah, only Chad can be funny. No, Stacey will laugh at Chad's jokes when they aren't funny, but genuine funny people, nah, man, you almost have to be ugly. You almost have to be an ugly cunt to be really, truly funny. I'm not talking about like, ha, 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 he said a thing. I'm talking about like, you know, really funny. Howdy, Hector. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right, mate. Did you just want to watch the video with me or what?
I can explain Mouse Utopia.
Oh, amazing.
And then I have
yes.
and then I have to go because I'm on my lunch break. But yeah,
Dude, I appreciate. I would love that. I would love that. Yes, please.
Yeah. So as a fan of Chad Yard Lynch, right? I kind of know the basics at the very least.
yeah.
So basically, the idea is that what they did is they took like a normal sized community of mice, right? And they put it in this massive enclosure, and then they just gave them everything that they need materially, right? So none of the mice are starving to death. Yeah, none of the mice are being hunted by predators. None of them are dying of thirst, like nothing like that. They just have everything provided for them. And so what happens is basically you get this population explosion to a point. And they don't even actually like fill up all the room, but just the community gets too large. There's just like thousands and thousands of mice all kind of stuck together having to deal with each other, right? And what ends up happening is you get excess males, basically. And they form a couple different communities. And it's kind of strikingly similar to some of the stuff that we see today, I think. And the most relevant one is what the scientists, they called them the beautiful ones. And so these are basically guys who are male mice who, instead of actually like going out and, you know, starting families and contributing to the community or whatever, they got together in these little communities and they would just groom themselves like 24/7. So they just like bathe themselves, comb their hair with their tongues or whatever, however mice do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Preen themselves, brush themselves, and that they spent a lot of time masturbating as well, like self-pleasuring, which I thought was a really interesting phenomenon. I just thought, what does that remind me of? The Guna incel looksmaxxing generation. Now, I'm not so black-pilled as to think that this is the collapse of society. I've said it before. I think we're moving in cycles and whatever. But how do you feel about it? Like, do you think it's symptomatic of something bigger, something broader, or you think it's just a side effect of the internet?
Well, I mean, same thing, right? I think it is a symptom. I don't think it's actually over, right? It's kind of, it's like it can be over for you if it's over for these mouse. They got in communities, right? It's kind of like being in a looksmaxxing Discord server. Like, you know, it's over for you if you're part of that clique, because there are other groups, right, that you can enter during the collapse. Some strategies are better, some strategies are worse. I think another kind of funny group is the mice that would just start randomly attacking other mice. So you'd get these like roving male gangs of barbarian mice.
What does that remind me of?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, fascinating. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting study, but yeah, I actually have a couple tips, all right, and one of them is a pro tip, and the other ones you probably already heard. But speaking as a guy, right, who's been in a couple long-term relationships and been on many dates, right?
Everybody who's listening right now, Hector really wants you to know that he's a guy, by the way, just for the record.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a dude, as a fellow man. Yeah, so look, like you were saying, I think it's kind of over for you if you're like a 7 or up and you're actually looksmaxxing. Even if you're a 6, Like,
waste of fucking time, especially if you're not already rich and you don't already have charisma. Like, if you already had money because, like, I don't know, your parents are wealthy or some shit, then okay, take some time, go get a suntan. If not, like, there are a million fucking things you could be doing right now with your time better than the, like, Lefort 4 maxillofacial reconstructive surgery. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
Holy shit, dude. Anyway, sorry, go on.
No. Yeah, no. So even if you're like a 6 or whatever, like all you really need to do, dude, eat vegetables, get in a little bit of exercise. Right, that's the stuff you've already heard. But my pro tip, like the actual tip, is, dude, ingratiate yourself in communities. This is how I've gotten all of my dates. Right, you gotta join a church and just be not antisocial and weird. Literally, just go talk to everyone,
And
introduce yourself, have a smile, say
people,
hi.
not even hating on Christians, by the way, but I just want to remind people other fucking organizations are available. I'm always hearing this thing of like, go to church, meet a nice girl at church. And it's like, well, okay, maybe, depending on where you live, if you live in a very religious rural place or whatever. But where I'm from, all the women at church are 35 years old with traumatic baggage and past. That's why they're at church.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, there are other things you can do, right? Sports activities, fucking art stuff, culture
Yeah.
stuff. Like, there are things you can invest your time in to make yourself. And crazy enough, these things that you become interested in will make you a more interesting person. Oh my God, what a shocker. Then more women will want to bang you, which is, by the way, why all these guys are doing this anyway, because it's all about female fucking, anyway, sorry.
But yeah, no, I was literally going to say that too, not just church, but I mean, get involved in your local music scene, art clubs, sports are a good one. I mean, like, I live in a small town and my community has these things. If you live in a city, you have no excuse. There's a million volleyball leagues, co-ed volleyball leagues, right? Like, that's a fantastic place to meet women. It's like you have options. It's not actually over. And yeah, that's kind of my TED talk is Now's Utopia, and just like literally just don't be antisocial.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that, man. Like, unironically, that was fucking dope. Like, I'm glad that we got that covered, because there's no way I would have remembered all of the detail that you told about that. Relating it back to our current situation is very obvious. And actually, even though you said, oh, this is very obvious stuff that you'll know already, man, you'll be surprised. Some motherfucker out there needs to hear half of that. So, yeah, I really appreciate you calling in, man.
Eat your vegetables and go on like a mile run. It's kind of that easy. But yeah, no, it's my lunch break's almost over, but thanks for having me on. Have a good one.
You dude. Peace. See you later. All right,
peace.
Let's get back to this methed out guy, because he was spitting bars a second ago. I'm going to post a link in the chat if any of you want to call in, all right?
Not exactly.
Members can watch it with me. Everybody else can just like do one. Yeah? If you have something to say and you're not a member, you get like 2 minutes to air your grievances and tell me why my negative canthal tilt means my opinion is invalid, okay?
Exactly. Good looking. So it never made me insecure. I never really had my life altered in any way. I just knew that something needed to change.
Quote, people say I look older than 19. I'd rather look like a man at 19 than a boy at 25. Absolutely. If you could go back in time, would you still take tests at 14 years old?
Absolutely, yeah.
Man, he really hasn't followed that out to its logical conclusion. I would rather look like a man at 19 than a boy at 25. You have to peak sometime. You have to transition from looking like a boy to looking like a man sometime. If you transition from looking like a boy to looking like a man at 19, at 25, you're going to start looking like an old man. At 35, you're going to be an old man. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm explaining really basic concepts now. Like, it's like next week we'll do colors. Like,
so everything I did, no regrets, right? So I'm 100% confident that I made the right decision in my life. And I'm so glad that I look a little bit more.
Seeing as we're talking about Looksmaxxing, okay, it's the awkward phase. It's like the awkward, oh shit. It's the awkward phase. Like, you know, when it's too long, but you don't want to, I'm going to get an undercut. It'll be nice, okay, if we're going to be very vain about it. But yeah, of course, it's the ridiculous, like, length that you can't really do anything with it, where it's like, you're right that I need a haircut, but just not yet. I can't pull off the look that I'm going for, all right, unless you guys wanted to bring vanity into the mix. I mean, like, oh shit, I don't know.
Mature, than I actually am in terms of my age, because it's helped me a lot. We could talk about, some of the jobs that I've worked and the respect that I've gained from just having a little bit more presence in my life from, some of the pharmaceuticals I've taken. Literally the best thing that anyone could do.
Yeah, guys, for reference, I'm 24 years old, and Clav is a full 5 years younger than me. When I met you, I thought you were at least 23. What's like the scientific reason that you look older?
So it has to do with your androgen receptors, right? So obviously, if we're having super physiological amounts of testosterone at a young age, our androgen receptors are going to be hit by that, and we're just going to masculinize our face a little bit more. I've also used things like HGH, so just all these different growth pathways being elevated led to me looking a little bit older.
Okay.
I guess another reason why this is important on this kind of note and on this topic is that, oh wow, what did I do here? Okay, hold on, I have to do this and then this. There we go. I guess another reason why this is important is because of the age thing. I know this is going to sound like maybe a bit pretentious or whatever coming from me as a guy who's a bit older than some of you. But like, for those of you who are younger, who are listening, like, as a man, in terms of looks and in terms of attractiveness, you really don't peak until your late 20s. It used to be back in the day, in like the 1980s, 25, say. But increasingly these days, when people are looking younger, older, men are peaking around 29, 28, 29. Now, I'm in my early to mid 30s, right? Like, I have peaked. I'm past the hump, as it were. But even me, like, if I wanted to, I could get like quite a lot of play right now at my age with women who are significantly younger. I'm really worried by this idea that men have adopted, I assume based off social media, that it's over at such a young age. I think what men are doing, in the same way that women girl bosses are looking at men, and instead of trying to be attractive to men, they're trying to compete with men. They're trying to become the things that they are attracted to: ambitious, status driven, rich. You get all these female boss babe entrepreneurs. Now, in the same way, I feel like men are trying to be women, looking at their own attractiveness as if women are attracted to youth and fertility and beauty, but they're not really. That's why so many women have daddy issues, to put it bluntly. I don't want to get too Freudian about it. Not saying that women are into like 40-year-old men, but like, women are into men who are significantly older than them by about 5 to 10 years. And this starts around high school. Women don't want you to stay young and pretty and twinky forever. But you know who does? 40-year-old homosexual gay men do. So why have we as a culture decided to like appeal to the 40-year-old homosexual gays? Why have we as men decided that women would find the same thing attractive that the 40-year-old gay man would find attractive? Why are you, I'm not a Looksmaxxer, why are you guys trying to appeal to the male gaze, would be my question. I would be much more, if we call a spade and we just admit that we're doing this Looksmaxxing shit, the reason you guys have become so obsessed with it is because you want female validation and attention, and who doesn't? It's perfectly natural. Wouldn't you want to appeal to the female gaze as opposed to the male gaze? They weren't mice. They were rats, Hector. Thanks for the TED Talk, Hector, but you got the animal wrong. Like, holy shit. Really? They were rats and it was called Mouse Utopia? That's fucking crazy. Really? They were rats and it was called Mouse Utopia? Damn, dude.
So when most people discover that they're not naturally gifted, they typically work harder, they train more. If they don't have any money, they start working longer hours, try to start a business. But you decided to...
See, again, I think it's too, for me, it's too black pill. George, when I said funny, I meant girl funny. I don't, girls don't find comedians funny. I disagree. Funny is not her. When a girl laughs at, you have to give women some credit. When a girl laughs at Chad's funny joke, the translation of the laughter is not, oh my God, I find you so funny. The translation of the laughter is, please fuck me, Chad. They're like signaling that they're like, it's like they're playing. If he's not funny, I'll just make him funny in my head. It doesn't matter. I'll speed up this process. I'll get laid quicker. But actual funniness, as in really making somebody giggle and really making somebody think, it's symptomatic of intelligence. And it's one of the ways that men have mocked. Hey, crazy black pill. But there are entire communities. I'm thinking particularly of the Orthodox Jewish people when I say this. There are entire communities who only match people up based on intelligence, who don't match people up based on looks at all. And those communities, all right, they're all inbred and weird looking, but they're very successful. So there's probably a balance to be struck between these two things. And discounting funny as a legit mating strategy is just tired, as far as I'm concerned. It's a tired argument because it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. You need to look back at, history and at these guys who are really, really successful comedians. And you need to look at the women they were dating right before they blew up and became rich. So you can't write it off and be like, yeah, well, he's a millionaire. Before, you need to look at these fat, ugly comedians, and you need to look at the women they date right before they blow up. You'd be very surprised. That's all I'm saying. I think it's too blackpilling. For me personally, it's too blackpilling. And I love a good black pill.
Rewrite your biology.
Right.
Why do you value results over effort?
It's a good question. Because it's what people see, right? It's the first thing that someone is going to lay eyes on. They're not going to know how you got to your goal. They're just going to know whether you're there or not, right? So first impressions are all that matter. When you tell people that you're on steroids, after they see your physique and it's already
why are we
conceived in their
fucking
head
bleeping the word steroids? Do we have to bleep steroids for YouTube?
It's impressive.
Nobody told
It's
me.
not really going to change
I didn't get the memo.
Perception. That's what I've learned. So it's all about the external appearance.
Bro, every time you guys tell me to get a haircut, I'm intentionally leaving it another week until my hair has grown down to my shoulders and become completely white. And then I will grow a long beard and I will buy purple robes and I will start fucking wizard maxing. And there is nothing you can do about it, okay?
Do you value hard work?
Get a haircut. You get a fucking haircut.
No, absolutely not. I value efficient work. I value smart work. Hard work is a ridiculous concept.
Why do you think so many people value the concept of working hard? Do you think it's ultimately because those people tend to have results?
I think people value.
Fun fact about the buzz cut. The buzz cut is the best way to tell if a man is actually good looking, facially speaking. Women know this, and that's why only certain guys can pull off the buzz cut. Women find some guys really attractive with a buzz cut and really unattractive with a buzz cut. It's a lot of men cheat. They cheat with their hair because hair makes people look more youthful or more vital or whatever. No, shave your head and then look in the mirror, and then you'll see if you're actually good looking, right? It's kind of like what women do. I don't know the correct term because I'm not an evolutionary psychology nerd, but it's something like beauty handicap or like beauty hindrance. It's something you intentionally do as a social signaling. As a man, in the case of a buzz cut, or a woman, it would be like a pixie cut or a septum piercing. It's something you intentionally do to signal to the opposite sex, like, I'm so fucking good looking that I can self-sabotage in this way and you still find me attractive. Now, of course, in the case of most women with septum piercings, it shows you how entitled they are and how big their ego is. It doesn't actually show you how attractive they are, but it certainly shows you that they think of themselves as attractive. These are all very useful social signals and clues that you can learn to pick up on and you can learn to read. I am probably not the best placed person to help you with that.
Value hard work because you learn a lot on your journey, right? So in terms of fitness, if you're working out for 5 years, you're going to, acquire a lot of knowledge in those times. Maybe you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you could look.
How does he know? How does he know? How do you know? Get out of my fucking brain. Whoa, dude.
Back on those and realize, hey, I was f***ing this up. And now when you're at the place of, you know a lot about fitness, you know a lot about training. It's kind of a cool process to undergo, looking at your transformation over the years.
Bit of a sidebar, but I guess I'll humor you. I don't think marriage is a flex for men like it used to be. Marriage used to be a big status symbol for men. And it will still help you in ways like you're more likely to get employed if you're married because an employer will see you as stable and reliable and stuff. But I don't think it's the status socially flexed for men that it is for women. I think marriage is still a massive social flex for women. And for men, it's like less of a flex now. Actually, it's there's very little incentive for men to get married these days, I guess is the point I'd make it. But it's a sidebar.
But that's not something that's ever interested me. So I would say that that's probably why people
Did I say
value
that?
hard
That
work. It's
sounds like
just,
such a Jordism, homosexual gay men, as opposed to, you know, straight gay men.
you know, the journey.
Yeah, so many people value the journey because of the person they become on the other side. Do you think there's like anything that you're missing from not having to work as hard necessarily to like achieve the results you
You
have
a
in the
legend
gym?
with these
Or do you
donos
think that
recently,
you've,
actually. That
like it's
fucking
allowed you to
insane.
achieve
Thank you, man.
the knowledge
And everyone who's
faster,
who
and
was
like
it
the
who
character
gifted me?
traits of
Mr.
someone who
Mo as
works
well
out
with the
faster?
gifted. Thank you so much.
I would say that it's definitely made me like the gym less, you know, to be enhanced. Like, because as a natural, it is really fun to see your transformation over.
I agree, actually. I agree with this. This is a hot take. Was it Natalie Portman? 10. 10, and she's not even my type, and 10 because the buzz cut, you know?
Years, and it
Buzz
makes
cut in like every movie. I swear every single fucking movie Natalie Portman is in, they make her get a fucking buzz cut.
it's so much more rewarding when it takes a lot longer to, you know, have this good physique and know what it took to get there. It means a lot more to you, especially
Absolutely
when you
goated.
continue to work out.
Absolutely goated comment from this guy Hoodoo. From this guy Hoodoo Voodoo. Has anyone tried paying women attention? Looksmaxxing bros, why are you trying to attract a woman and adopting a female dating strat? Holy shit. And we wonder why women are collectively crashing out. Be a man. Isn't it funny? Hoodoo is an expert in astrology. Hoodoo has spent the last 6 months leveling up and learning how to read natal charts, Hellenistic, horary, increasingly synastry astrology he's been learning. And like when you learn astrology, you learn these really basic principles of like polarity and gender, that Mars does not act the same way in a man's chart as he does in a woman's chart. That Venus means a very different thing in a man's chart than it does in a woman's chart. Really, only Crowley is the only mystic, modern mystic that you hear talk about this. Nobody else fucking talks about this. It's very important to understanding astrology properly. And because Hoodoo has learned astrology, and because he's learned it properly, he understands this very deep spiritual idea that women attract and that men hunt, essentially. You know, you see this manifestation shit from the girlies, from the crystal girlies all the time. Say my mantras, say my affirmations into the mirror. I don't chase, I attract. I don't chase, I attract. You know what? I don't even think that's necessarily bad for women to think like that, because they should be trying to attract men. And you as a man should not be trying to attract women. Look at the peacock species and understand that one must be pretty and lure the other one in, and do a little dance to lure the other one in. And one must be lured in. If we're both standing doing little dances, nobody's luring anybody anywhere. The whole species stops mating. Crazy good comment.
Continue to progress. It is really meaningful. So I don't have that, but I'm not necessarily concerned about that. I personally hate going to the gym now. You know, I find it, you know, kind of shitty to start the day, have to go to the gym. I think of it as a chore at this point because I'm just like so done with it.
It is brutal, but is he wrong? There's one thing that's undeniable, and it's why you all call Clav gay. It's because Clav's very feminine. Looking in the mirror and preening yourself, and by the way, I don't think Clav's a homosexual gay man. I think he's a regular gay. No, I think he's straight, but I think he's cooked in the head from probably from porn, from social media, from being in communities from the age of 14, from doing roids from the age of 14. Nothing manly about him. Nothing manly about him. And I say this as a guy with a Taurus moon and a Virgo rising.
You know what I mean? Because I know I could progress at a lot higher levels if I start taking like an oral steroid, for example, for 3 months. And then the 3 months is done, and I know I'm progressing, you know, at a limited rate. So it just like kind of ruins the whole novelty.
I don't know. Now, listen, this is another kind of, you hear this from the kind of collective dismals and people like that, where they say like, oh, it's a population numbers game. It's because there's so many more men than women. I don't think so. Not in my country, anyway. You have to do crazy global economics math to make a statement like this actually make sense. There's such a male surplus. I don't think so, dude. I really don't think so. I think that's a code, but I could be wrong. I need to present. If you want to present some data, I'm happy to talk about it. And also, sorry, I forgot to post it. The link is in the chat, open stream as usual.
Well, when you're a natty, you know, everything is kind of just consistent. So You're always going to value, you think every single day you're progressing.
Oh, and guess what? The Slavic couples are the most long-term stable, the most traditional, the most like a lot of the women are utilitarian and brutal and gold diggers. So ideally, you want to find like second generation Slavic or like half Slavic. You don't want to go full. You never want to go full Slav. But there's something to it, isn't there? There's something to that second world mentality of like, the man provides and the woman looks pretty. And of course, it's much more complicated than that. There's a whole duty and role in being a wife and a mother and a homemaker. But on the surface, as far as dating is concerned, the man provides, a woman looks pretty. It's worked for millennia. I don't know why you want to reverse it and invert it now. Like,
Or that might not be true when you're using steroids,
Like if there was a pill you could take that would make you as smart as possible, already learn everything, be as jacked as possible, look.
Coco, I don't know if you're being like funny with this, but there's no lies detected in this whatsoever. This is all actually empirically correct from an esoteric perspective. Let me know if you were just trolling and happened to say something that was true, or if you were just,
Perfect. Like, would you take that?
Absolutely.
And then what else would you do past that?
Well, I would be at my goal and I'd have to reevaluate my life, see what I wanted to.
No, it's not bad. It's just, I mean, look at me. Do I say, like, Virgo rising often means Libra in the first house, which can make for someone to be quite attractive. I just mean that, like, Virgo rising might be a bit boring. Like, look at me. I look like a crisis actor. I look like I could be Jack Watkinson, and they just found me at the school that recently had an incident. You know what I mean? Like, I could be any. You could pick me up and put me anywhere. It's not like you're not stand out like, whoa, like a Leo rising. And you're not beautiful and like like a Libra rising, but there's nothing wrong with you. Virgo rising, very neat, very orderly. And of course, the rising sign comes across not just in the physicality, but in the presentation, in how the person dresses, in the aura of the person, often in the fashion and style choices of the person. So Virgo rising, for example, would be muted colors, muted clothes, modest clothes, neutral clothes, earthy tones. What I'm wearing right now, like literally just black on black on black, very Virgo rising. Virgo rising, typically very clean presenting, unlikely to have tattoos. If they do have tattoos, they'll be very minimalist, symbolic tattoos with meaning. They won't be like big pieces of art covering their body, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
To do next, because right now, this is the journey part for me, So I'm not interested.
Really hard to tell when people start fucking with their aesthetics as much as he does. But in terms of aura, I would imagine something autistic. Something autistic. He could even be a Virgo rising himself, actually. TBH. I would love to see his nail. I would love to see this guy's nail chart. If anyone can find Clav, I know some of you in here will probably be in like Clav's Discord server. Some of you who watch this will be in Clav's Discord server. Please find me his nail chart. I would love to do a full fucking stream about it.
Lame, like, fitness journey where I'm natural. The journey is a lot more, interesting in my case, right? So, because I'm trying to optimize every single metric of my life. I'm not only interested in fitness, right? I am trying to IQ max.
Stunning.
I'm trying
Stunning
to money
guy.
max.
Stunning
all
man.
These different things. Obviously, for the normies watching this,
for the normies. Hey, Heinrich, what's up, dude? Hey, Chud.
What's up? I have to defend the Looksmaxxing a little bit.
Okay.
But the biggest thing I picked up from Looksmaxxing. By the way, am I quiet? My microphone.
Yeah, but hold on. I just want to know, did you see the part of the stream where I defended Looksmaxxing?
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay.
I would just have to say, like, there's a couple things you can do. For me, it was dental bleaching. I have naturally like relatively yellow teeth, and getting them bleached, which I think like the most expensive part of that was getting like the custom like shape to put on my teeth. So
Wow,
the
they
gel would,
raped
like,
you.
adhere.
They raped you at the dentist.
Like that one, like it's almost like it's hard to describe, but like that one, manufacturing that one was like the expensive part. The gel is like stupidly cheap, and now I have like white teeth, and I don't feel afraid of smiling anymore.
Yeah,
and that's like goated.
Again, massive. Yeah, of course, it's always nice to have white teeth. And of course, someone with white teeth looks objectively more aesthetic than someone with yellow teeth. But the biggest boon and boost is obviously to your confidence. And like you say, to the fact that you would like smile more about it. I genuinely expected you to say something more chudded than that. But like, I'm defending Looksmaxxing. I'm saying it's good for like 3 through 6. you can start like putting a couple of points up yourself in terms of looks. If you're 7, 8, 9, or if you're 1, like what you doing? You know what I mean? You got to try a different strategy.
It depends. I mean, to me it's a cost use calculation. Like if you're if you're 6'7" and you're getting your legs broken in Turkey to like get limb lengthening surgery, like you're
Dude, that's
gay.
what Clav
You're
is.
straight
That's
up
what
gay.
Clav plans to do, by the way. I don't know how much you
Yeah.
know about Clav, but he's 6'3" or 6'2". He plans to get to 6'6" from doing a 4-inch leg lengthening surgery. He also has jaw implants that cost like $35K a pop planned. I don't know whether he'd had them by the time he did this interview, but it's coming down. Bro, you know he's gonna look like some absolutely botched, boggened off like brother. He looks good now. By the way. No homo, he looks good now. Stop, Clav, if you're listening to this. For the love of fuck, stop. But also, I would love to interview you, but he needs to stop. Like, holy shit.
Well, like, look, I would just say it's always a cost-use calculation, and there's, in terms of Looksmaxxing, you gotta look at it as a catalog, and you gotta look at yourself as sort of a stat sheet, and if there's like one which you're like dog shit on, which in my case was my teeth, just like, pushing that up a little.
Aim to address the weaknesses and aim to address the vulnerabilities. But like the obsession, like, hey, look, listen to this. This is a comment from the chat. Ruddy man, if you're above 6, that's totally unnecessary. Well, explain why a bunch of dudes
If you're above 5'9"
or 5'11" are doing it then.
If you're above 5'9", it's unnecessary.
I completely agree. I completely
like I'm 5'10". I've never had an issue in my life with my height. Now, part of that is that I have broad shoulders, but like it doesn't matter. It's entirely a psyop to sell you product.
Compensate quite a lot with broadness because it's like how much physical space you take up actually makes quite a bit of difference. This is why fat guys get more play than people realize. But that's for a separate stream. The point I'm basically making is that, like, as a young man, how much have you been subjected to this? You know, you're in your early 20s, you grew up on the internet, or you were born in it. All you know is darkness. Like, you do realize how cooked that's made you, right? Are you going to take some time to address that? Maybe take some time off the internet?
No, the only way out is through. The only way out is through.
But seriously, do you think it's made you insecure?
Well, it's also made me understand that it's making me insecure, which sort of helped me advance past that. So, in my case, no. But for a lot of people, yeah, certainly it does.
I think it's like a generational sickness, TBH.
I wouldn't say that too much, but like it depends, because like, for example, I don't have socials in which I share my face, so like I'm weird in that regard.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest. So
neutral, probably.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for your contribution, though. Very cool.
Right, cheers.
Latest. This shit just actually starts to depress you after a while, you know?
Say max at the end of everything, maximize, just for that clarification. But yeah, so I'm just trying to do so much more than the average person that I kind of have to cheat my way and cheat the system a little bit to be able to manage all these different things.
Kareem Shami on our other.
Thank you, Anarch, man. That's a really nice comment, and I appreciate you giving people that kind of glimmer of hope that there is indeed light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, Chris Gabriel, of course, Goated Meme Analysis was the guy who helps you out of it. Sucks that you were ever in it, though, right? Why do you think you were in it? Why do you think you got to that point? How much of it do you think is symptomatic of the internet?
Your podcast. His last piece of advice that he wanted to leave the viewers was none of this matters if you don't have health, and health is the most important thing. Why don't you, or do you prioritize health?
I would say no. I think I would wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. You know, I would say that functionality is a better word than health, right? Because it is very likely that some of my lifespan.
A lot of these Gen Z guys have this fetishization of youth to the point where, like, do you guys know who Yukio Mishima was? Do you know, like, if you don't, you should look him up. Yukio Mishima was like a Imperial Japanese artist, I believe. Really fascinating guy, playwright, author, writer mostly. I don't know why I said artist, although he did make some artistic works, if I'm not mistaken. His death was one big artistic performance art piece, if you ask me. He killed himself, I believe, aged like 35, because he said he was like physically peak and he didn't want to watch himself grow old. He killed himself in like a weird Japanese seppuku ritual that when you look into it and you find out about it, it was all very homoerotic. And like he had a kink for like young men dying in their prime. This is very weird and violent and homoerotic and gay, right? So if I've lost you, don't worry about it. You're normal. I'm the weirdo. But you should look into Yukio Mishima. And there's a reason I think that we're seeing so many like young men Yukio Mishima edits on Instagram. I think that same thing that I was calling it gay before. I was saying the only people previously who had this fetishization of young males, like of masculine youth, were like gay men historically. And you're seeing it with like in the mainstream culture now. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. I don't think it's like necessarily a gay thing. I think it's just a fetishization of youth. And I can't help but tie it back to astrology, right? I can't help but tie it back to Pluto, the sex and death drive, being in Sagittarius for the Zoomer. It was in Scorpio for the millennial. Yeah, they were cringe. Yeah, they were emotional. Yeah, they had loads of sex and did loads of drugs. But they weren't yearning for something to believe in. They weren't yearning for like rules and religion and all like a dogma. And like, I think it's like it's a cooked generational thing. I think, unfortunately, I think that is my analysis.
And will be diminished with the things that I'm doing. I don't believe that's from some of the steroids, but maybe some of the recreational drugs in conjunction with the steroids. So that's a very real possibility. But in terms of like functional health, I'm
Bro, am I wrong? Am I wrong that there's some Discord server somewhere full of Clav fans where they'll sit around in VCs rating each other all day? Come on.
fantastic, right?
I know I'm right.
I'm always very sharp. So there's nothing wrong in terms of that, in terms of the way I feel every day. So that's kind of all I'm concerned about.
So you don't care about maximizing your lifespan as much as your day-to-day?
Yeah, I'm not a huge longevity guy.
Do you think you'll ever stop taking
Fuck,
No.
Fuck, man. I'm not a huge longevity guy. I think he might have some Mishima. I think he might have taken the Mishima pill, guys.
Absolutely not. I think how much in terms of dosing, that will definitely start to lower as I get a little bit older. Because once you get to a certain point, maintaining what you've built is a lot easier than getting to a certain goal, right? So I'll have to lower down to TRT dosages. You want to start having kids and stuff like that.
Which, by the way, Anarch completely confirms my thing. Again, sounds very Freudian, sounds very Jewish. People really hate it. But if you actually look at it, it's deeply rooted in male insecurity. What are you basically saying here? I was a red pillar, then I was a black pillar. Then I accepted that rejection was okay. This is why whenever guys come to me and they have like Saturn square Venus or Mars square Venus, I'm like, you should go out and get rejected by 200 women. You should go out on the street and get rejected by 200 women. So it's like water off a duck's back to you, so that you don't care anymore about the opinions of women, right? Like, what did you realize? You realized rejection was okay. And then the fucking penny dropped and the insecurity went away, which meant that the mentality went away, right? People will do anything to avoid rejection. People are so insecure, they will do literally anything to avoid being rejected by Stacy. It's crazy.
The dose has to come down. You can't take certain steroids. Things of this nature. So absolutely, yeah. Once I'm very satisfied with where I am in terms of my physique, I'll just start to maintain it.
So you call yourself very reasonable about what's accomplishable. Why are you spending $100,000 on surgery to go from 6'2" to 6'6"?
That is more about just...
Now, you can be depressed about this, but actually, forget demographics for a second, where this is obviously a black pill. From a Looksmaxxing perspective, this comment on screen right now should white pill all of you. From a Looksmaxxing perspective, the comment on screen right now should white pill all of you.
Presence, right? I've always valued presence super, super highly, right? You walk into a room, people notice, right? You're standing in the middle of a club, you're an outlier, right? That to me...
Okay, another reason why I like Clav as opposed to some of these other guys. I've said it on my record. I think he's a bad influence. I think he's taking it too far. He is Narcissus looking into the pond and fapping off to his own reflection. It's literally gone too far. But one of the reasons I like him, and I think one of the reasons a lot of people like him, is because he's authentic as fuck. He'll tell you he's taking meth. He's got a 17-year-old girlfriend. He doesn't really care that you think that you judge him about it. He is who he is, and he has the opinions that he has. He doesn't hold back much, which is kind of nice and kind of authentic. Even here, he's telling you the best practice to do. Like, let's just wheel that up and go back. Listen to this. Okay, hold on.
So you call yourself very reasonable about what's accomplishable. Why are you spending $100,000 on surgery to go from 6'2" to 6'6"?
That is more about just presence, right?
Why are you going from 6'2" to 6'6"? That is about presence. And this is why you have to give it to him. He understands these little things, that it's not just all about looks. It's not just all about facial rating. I've even heard him make comments about money, about status, and about charisma before. Like, Clav has the charisma of a chloroform rag, which is why it's kind of so impressive, weirdly, that he's so like that he's blowing up right now.
I've always valued
what I like about him is that he's honest and transparent. He'll tell you that. Like, he'll say the charisma pill is brutal. He'll acknowledge that money matters. He'll acknowledge that status matters. He doesn't just circle jerk around the drain of like, what is your facial thirds and all this kind of retarded shit. I'll say it. There are worse Looksmaxxer influencers out there than Clav. There actually are. There really are.
Presence, super, super highly, right? You walk into a room, people notice, right? You're standing in the middle of a club, you're an outlier, right? That to me, just because people will come up to me, they'll say, "Oh, well, 6'2", that's already very tall." But in terms of percentiles, it's only 91st percentile, right? 6'6", we get to 99th. I'm someone who wants to be the best, right? And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So that's why, I'm seriously considering that limb lengthening surgery.
So you want to be 99th percentile at all aspects of life?
Absolutely.
Except maybe longevity.
Yeah, maybe not longevity.
So explain to me the limb lengthening surgery. I didn't know that you could do that. How do you do that? And like, what are the negatives involved?
I didn't know that you could do that. One thing you'll notice is that he's obsessed with this idea of the 99th percentile. What does it mean to be a 5 out of 10? What does it actually mean if we accept that 10s don't really exist and there is no such thing as the perfect human? In fact, if you did get the perfect human, what the PSL Looksmaxx MOGA types call true Adam, if you actually got him, he would look uncanny. He would be so generically attractive that he would look weird and alien, like what's the kind of the point of the intro at the start of the stream. There is no such thing as perfect. 10s don't exist. But between 1 and 9, like, what does it mean to be a 9? It means if I go out on the street and I grab 9 random bros and I bring them into a room 1 through 9, it means, and I do that 9 times, it means you're going to be the best looking guy in the room every single time. It's really, really hard to be like a 9. What does it mean to be a 5? It means, well, if I grab 10 random guys off the street and you're one of them, you're going to be somewhere around the middle every time of those group of guys. He's obsessed not just with being a 9. That's what I need you guys to understand. He's not just obsessed with being a 9, being the best looking 10 out of 10 times, in a room. He needs to be a 9.99999 recurring. And this is really important because it will never be good enough. That's why you start to see the dysmorphia creep in. That's why you start to see, there was this show on British reality TV back in the day called The Swan. And what they would do is they would take average looking women and they would give them a glow up. This was before the internet. This was before TikTok and Instagram. This is when it was really like a bunch of like gay men and like Jewish middle-aged women ran like the television industry, like daytime television industry. And they created these monstrosity shows, things like The Swan, where this like random mid plain Jane woman would be plucked from obscurity and like, here is your fashion designer, here is your cosmetic surgeon. The cosmetic surgeon bit always creeped me the fuck out because they would go through every stage. She would go out with the hairdresser, she would go off with the fashion designer, and then she would go and she would meet this like gremlin of a man who was like a plastic surgeon who was going to tell her about how he was going to rearrange her face. And at the end of every episode of this show called The Swan on British fucking daytime TV, by the way, there would be like a reveal, like a character reveal at the end, and the curtain would come down. She would get to see herself. I don't know whether it was really her seeing herself for the first time or if the producers just staged it that way. But often these middle-aged women would have like the most maniacal breakdowns, like cackling, laughing, crying, looking at their own reflection in the mirror. Like at some point you just thought they were going to like punch the mirror and take like a shard of broken glass and like cut their face. I'm the Swan. I'm the Swan. Like, I thought that shit was degenerate, right? Back then. I thought that shit was fucked up back then. Men are doing it now? Actually, I should pull you up a clip of the female Looksmaxxer I found as well. That's a whole new thing. Female Looksmaxxing is a thing as well, by the way. Holy shit.
You know, there's a lot of different clinics that do limb lengthening surgery, and there's different techniques used, but the best is actually Dr. Paley in West Palm Beach, so maybe about 30 minutes away from where I'm living now. So that's a very real possibility. The unfortunate part about limb lengthening surgery is almost no one is going to be able to do it because you're going to have to be out of work for 6 months to a year, right? You're going to be hospitalized for the first 3 weeks. You're pretty much immobile for the first 3 months, and the next 3 months after that, you know, you're really not going to be able to walk without crutches and stuff like that. So getting away from work for that long is just not possible by most people, and not to mention the outrageous prices, right? So unless you're kind of, you know, making
Finally, something I can argue with. Thank you. What's your name? Ministry of Scrotal Sacs and Demographic. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, and the picture is like some Jewish icon. Perfect. Amazing. Bro, you're not a stereotype or anything. Holy shit. As a black pill palate cleanser after this blue pill cope stream, check out Pygmy, aka Clown Town, a 5'3" Asian true cell. For the record, and I shouldn't even be humoring you people with a response, but for the record, a lot of your black pills are real. A lot of your black pills are true. What you do about them is what defines you. You can sit around bitching about it all day, like as if the stuff Clav talks about is not legit, as if he has not successfully monetized the insecurity of thousands of young men for a reason. Black pill, women care about how you look. Black pill, women care about how you present yourself. Black pill, women care about how much status you have. Black pill, women care about the resources that you have and how many friends you've got and stupid stuff like that. That shouldn't matter at all about whether you're going to be a good life partner. I could sit here and black pill you until you're blue in the face. But the truth is, black pills only apply to NPCs. Black pills only apply to NPCs. If you're a non-player character, sit there, be black pilled, stay watching Clown Town, a 5'3" Asian true cell. For real, seriously, like it's cool. It's cool. Stay in your world, stay in your bubble, stay in the kind of like, because it's a mental thing. It's literally a mental thing. What you're calling cope, I'm calling magic. It's literally the same thing. And I know you're too in the source to understand what I'm saying right now, but I don't owe you fucking people an explanation. You know what I mean?
Online money, it's just not something to even consider.
And then how does it work exactly? Like, where does it go? Like, is it just your legs? Like,
yeah, so they're going to lengthen both the limbs, right? So they could do your femurs, and they could add to the lower legs as well. That's called a double LL. And then you have to wear distractors that slowly help the bone, you know, fuse back together and heal. So it's a very treacherous.
Bruh, Hoodoo, you're assuming this kind of guy has your first mistake was assuming that this kind of guy has a partner. Your second mistake was assuming that he was in a relationship. Your third mistake was assuming that he was a father. Okay, we're talking about this guy. Okay, like this is what I'm saying. Like, some people cannot be helped. And one thing I've learned over the years is you cannot give Chad level advice to chuds. You can't do it. It's a mindset. It's a state of mind. It doesn't matter if they physically could get themselves out of it. They actually don't want to. They like being there. They like being chudded. You have to leave them behind. Unfortunately, it sucks, but it's true.
First process is very painful.
Because otherwise, they'll just call you blue pill cope stream, right? It's just like, holy shit. You can address everything they say they agree with and say it's true, and then literally tell them how to get around it and how to avoid it. They won't listen to you. They'll just focus on how you agreed with what they said being true. All they're looking for is people to validate their copes. This is why I'll always be infinitely more impressed by a guy like Clav, because at least he's found a way to monetize his crazy insecurities. Like, fuck. If you're going to be black-pilled, at least make a channel, at least sell a course to other black-pilled idiots. Like, holy shit.
You know, you have to be under close supervision with doctors, and, you know, you really have to gauge the value. Is this something that's worth it to you? Because it's a horrible process, and there's no beating around the bush on that.
Listen, I'm not going to disagree with you there. I'm not going to disagree with you there, because look, Varg Vicinus 1488, so your username cracks me the fuck up. how would a show like The Swan ever make it onto fucking primetime television if what you're saying wasn't correct? Okay, what you're saying is unarguably correct. If you want to talk about how hard it is to find a good woman with character and a soul and like ethics, yeah, we could talk about that all day. The real black pills, the spiritual black pills, I will agree with you on. But we're talking about people's fucking facial symmetry right now. Give me a break. Like,
So you see it as reasonable because it would put you in the 99th percentile, but
99%. Do you guys understand the 99th percentile? That's like you mog out of 1,000 dudes. You mog like.
is 99th percentile optimal always? Because I guess maybe if you're 99th percentile of
Only it's like the metaphysics of the black pill, the philosophy of the black pill, where you can ask questions like, is 99th percentile optimal though? Like, what does that even mean? Is that not the most Age of Aquarius shit you've ever heard? What did I tell you on the last stream? Everybody is optimizing, everybody is upgrading, transhumanism is coming down the pipe. That's why I had to do that stream before I could even start touching some of this culture shit.
being fat or 99th percentile of having a high IQ, you might get diminishing returns. Like, how do you kind of view that?
I don't really think it's. Everyone knows that being fat is a negative thing, so I don't really think it's.
Bro, Clav will inherit the earth. Clav will inherit the earth. It's over for the chuds. It's, you know why it's over for the chuds? Because they believe it's over.
Accurate.
Whether you think it's over or whether you think we're back, you're so right. You're so fucking right. That's the crazy thing, because that's how the universe works.
Here to make that comparison. We know it's good. We know tall is good, and we could back that up with research, right? We know that every single inch, you grow past 6 foot, you're adding like an additional $500.
I'm leaving this up because it's funny, okay? And because I can take a joke, and this is a fucking good. It's like describing work for women as Jewish daycare. Like, that cracks me the fuck up. It's wrong, obviously, but it cracks me the fuck up. You got to give the chuds are funny. Do you see what I mean? If you focused on using your humor to get bitches instead of like trying to give me a hard time on the internet, you would get so much further. But alas, this is funny. I'm leaving it up.
It's your average annual income in America. So we know that taller is better. We know that fat is worse. These are things we could back up with research, and they're absolute. So I think it's very reasonable, knowing these disparities, knowing things about, dating app statistics and how women are literally just filtering out people completely under outrageous.
Cope. Anyone saying Clav is a lol cow, anyone saying Clav is a performance artist, anyone saying Clav is a jokester and it's ironic and it's a bit, clearly does not understand. Clearly does not understand that Clav is a highly autistic young man who's like sexually attracted to himself. I don't know how much clearer I can be about it.
Just height percentiles, right? We'll see women put their height filters on 6'3", and then you actually look at, percentiles, and we're like, you just eliminated 95 percentiles worth of men right off the bat with one filter and one metric. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't use dating apps, right? Like, I come from a generation where I can still talk to women in the street, so this is very unrelatable for me. I'm not gonna lie, but this thing of like women putting a filter on their dating apps of like 6'3", they might for like a day, and then they'll change it when they aren't getting as many replies as they want from the 6'3" guy. Yeah, maybe they'll change it a little bit down to 6'2", and then maybe they'll change it a little bit down to 6'1", and then maybe 6, and then maybe 5'11", and then maybe they'll go on a date. You know what I mean? It's just like, what do you mean all women are putting all their Tinder filters as 6'3"? Fuck, it's just it's a mentality thing. It's hard to explain if you don't, go outside.
While it might be outrageous at first thought, if we look at actually what's going on in the world, you start to find it quite reasonable.
I have a group chat called the Black Library, and every time I get laid, I just post like a picture of me having sex with a woman and doing an act of like sex magic. It's usually me standing there in like some robe with like a chick performing fellatio on me whilst I'm wearing the head of a pig and lighting candles, right? But I usually document my sexploits in the Black Library group chat. So if you're curious about when the last time I nutted was, then you can read all about it in there, right? So I can't give you for free what I'm selling to other people, but just rest assured that I'm fucking. This guy fucks, all right? This guy fucks, if that's what you need to hear. It really upsets me that you guys would think that little of me. Like, genuinely, it really, really fucking upsets me. But hey, alas, what are you gonna do?
Times.
Why doesn't everyone do this? Just because of the money?
And they're like gross in Europe. Oh no, I'm offended. I'm offended by the idea of sex. No, American Puritanism. No. You guys are so fucking cooked as well. The fact that you believe that, the fact that you're like, yeah, I'm wearing a robe and a pig's hood and I'm fucking whatever. Like, you just, you know what I mean? You're all fucking you're reading that. Believing things you hear on the internet is half your problem. That's why you get sold idiots like this. Like, fuck, man.
I just don't really think that people are logical. I think that people want to live in fantasy land. That's the blue pill, you know? So they prefer to cope. They prefer not to know these things. But just someone with my brain chemistry,
Yeah, the
someone
Black
who's a little bit
the Black
neurodivergent.
Library is one big cuck chair where I just cuck everyone in there. It's a magic ritual. You wouldn't get it.
Just kind of unavoidable, right? I can't live in fantasy land. It's not possible for me.
So it seems like you shifted from bodybuilding to Looksmaxxing. Obviously, you still do both, but why do you believe that face matters more than your physique?
So I started coming to that realization.
Another Clav W, by the way. I was saying this for years. Nobody listened to me. Everyone said physique, physique, physique. All women care about is muscles. Again, more of this fucking projecting into the male gaze. Clav again with another. See, at least when he talks about this stuff, he is authentic and he's as correct as you can be, whilst also being a meth addict. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
When I started doing massive, what's called a bulk, where you eat in a caloric surplus for the gym. And I noticed that, you know, my treatment in my daily life from when I was a little bit leaner, you know, just starting out in the gym, just getting a little toned, I was actually getting treated worse, even though I was getting more muscle. I was a lot bigger. And I was like, hey, what's going on? So then that's kind of.
I don't know if I should address this, Nat man. Nothing against you personally, but I don't know. Like, I've addressed it on previous streams endlessly, and I don't want people to like. I don't want to constantly be bitching about my own situation. My own situation is quite unique. I don't think I represent a lot of men, TBH. I don't think there are a lot of men in my situation who have the option to settle down, but who don't. That's like a minority, I would imagine. I think most people are. Now, you could say that's like vol-cel, I guess, but I'm having sex. So it's not really voluntary celibacy. It's voluntary not being in a relationship. I don't know what you'd call that. You know what I mean? But I don't really want to I don't really want to talk about my own situation. Not because I'm like embarrassed or don't want to talk about it or anything, but because it will derail the stream so hard from where we're trying to go. You know what I mean? But yeah, I want to agree with you. I want to say, like, yeah, we're in the same boat because you can't get laid and I don't have a family, but I just don't see those as the same thing, right? Like, not being able to have a family is an economic thing and it's a psychological thing. Not being able to get laid is just a simple failure as a man. If you can't get laid as a man, there is something wrong with you. You're not passing a simple test. Like, do you have to get laid all the time? No. Do you have to be sexually promiscuous? No. Do you have to be a man whore? No. But if you literally can't get laid, right? If you're a man and you're 25 years old and you've never got laid, I don't know, man. It's not looking good.
Kind of where I started reading on bodybuilding.com, some things about how, you know, people would come on and shit post and troll about how the face is all that matters. And, you know, that bodybuilding and physique, it was cope. And I was like, hey, this doesn't really make sense. Then the more that I thought about it, it kind of started to make sense. You know, just thinking about it from a woman's perspective.
If he did that a little bit more, if he just took that frame and expanded out a little bit more, he'd realize that a lot of the things he does for Looksmaxxing, he's unable to truly look at it from a woman's perspective. He thinks he's seeing it from a woman's perspective, but he's bound by the male gaze on account of him being a man and everything.
Realizing with my personal anecdotes, you know, that the face is more important, and everything started to get worse as my face got more bloated, got more acne from doing the caloric surplus. So it was a combination of those two things that made me kind of reevaluate and change my course a little bit.
So if you had to give me where you spend your time, like working on, would you say it's 30% effort on the physique, 70% on the face, or?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
And then how limited?
Where you say this stuff and people get so angry about it. You say the internet is the bottleneck. The internet is the filter. Can you survive the internet? Can you survive the demoralization? Can you survive the changing dating landscape? Can you survive the bombardment constantly by marketing and advertisers and influencers trying to make you feel insecure about yourself and selling you useless products, like capitalizing on your insecurity? Can you survive that? Can you do it? Can you survive all that bullshit and just go out and get laid? That's the real test of you. It's not that difficult as some of you are making it out to be.
Is the average person genetically? I guess we can speak about body versus face, but can they ascend, as the Looksmaxxing community would put it, like go from like a 5 to a 7, if we're speaking like on a scale from 1 to 10, through natural methods, or do they need surgeries, medications, peptides?
So that's a really good question, and the answer isn't as simple as you think, right?
So peptides are a big deal, I've noticed, and I don't really know what they are, but I'm hearing about them everywhere.
So the average person can make a lot of progress. It's just an IQ issue. That's the genetic issue that we're facing is IQ, because people aren't going to be logical enough. Like I said before, they want to live in fantasy land, so they're not going to do the things that are actually required to make the progress that's needed. So it really comes down to that. But if someone is hyper logical, doing the things that I'm doing, they can probably go up in look scale by
leaves one comment in chat, sees Chud reaction, and just completely doubles down, becomes like a social Darwinist from one reads the room and goes, "Nah, fuck it, these guys are cooked." Like, it's not worth me leaving the comment. Like, fuck.
30 to 40 percentiles, I would say.
And then how about their physique?
Your physique, I mean, the sky's the limit with that. That's something that's, almost anyone could really hit a huge increase on.
Quick one. If you agree with Clav's message and you're serious about improving your look, you guys are going to want to check out Clav's community on School. Once you're in...
Guys, you're going to want to check out Clav's community on School, giving him a little bit of promo there, which I think is much deserved. Like I say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
And it'll help my career a lot to do the double jaw surgery. It's not insecurity, right?
Cope.
There's nothing I can't do with my current looks package, right? I'm already having pretty much the life I want. It's just I know that, the return on investment is extremely high.
Think about what you just said. Think about think about the level of cognitive dissonance involved in that statement. I know I look good right now. I know I can do pretty much anything with the looks package that I've got at the moment, but I just need to be, I need to be that bit higher. Why do I need to be that bit higher? Oh, because so much more stuff will be achievable. That doesn't make sense. That's a paradox. If you can do anything right now, but you need to go up, you need to ascend so more things are achievable, what does he mean? It literally doesn't make sense. Like, you're watching someone with glazed eyes, like Bonnie blue eyes, be like, I just need to go up. I just need to ascend. The ascend metaphor is creepy because it's like pseudo-spiritual. It's like, I need to ascend to greatness, right?
And I think
like an ascended master.
It's true for everyone.
So walk me through, like, if we take a step back, like, when did you realize what that was? Kind of explain.
Wait, you can't handle a bit of marketing? You can't handle a bit of marketing?
And it to me, explain what you'll have to go through and what the results could look like negatively.
I decided I wanted the double jaw surgery. So what I had to do is get a head CAT scan, right? So I had to go to an imaging center, they scan my skull, and then that gets sent to an implant designer, right? He comes in and he customizes the titanium implants based on my skull with custom screws and guides. And that gets sent to a factory to be produced. Right now, all the titanium parts are being produced. My surgery's...
Thank you, Saskia. I'm glad you said it, and I'm glad you put it so succinctly, perhaps more than I could do this evening, what with all the meth that I've been smoking. Clav is addicted to Looksmaxxing. Meth is not what makes him a junkie. That is completely correct. That is the obsessive compulsive disorder, like body dysmorphia disorder that I've been trying to highlight since the beginning of this. One that is quite easy to get, by the way, and one that seems to be contagious. If you look at the rate at which it's spreading on social media, particularly amongst the Zoomers with their Pluto in Sagittarius.
Is coming soon. And then now I'm going to have to fly to Istanbul. That's the location of my surgery. That's kind of like the hotspot in the world for plastic surgery. I would argue that
he's going to Turkey. He's going to Istanbul for the surgery because it's cheap. That's why. Not because it's the go-to place in the world right now. Because it's cheap. It's where people go to get hair transplants and bad dental work. He's going to Istanbul in Turkey. He needed a fucking skull scan to do. Like, it's not a joke. It's not a joke, bro.
Italian surgeons are better, but sometimes they won't do some of the more black-pilled, extreme.
Yeah, because if you're a surgeon and you have on your case log, like on your record, on your professional medical record, the fact that you botched someone and you're trying to be like the premier Italian plastic surgeon, best in Europe, you're probably not going to take Clav on the books. you're probably going to recommend him to some cheap alternative guy in Turkey. That's sketchy as fuck, man. I love how he justified that as well. He was like, oh yeah, the Italians won't do some of the more black pill. Like, I would trust an Italian in terms of aesthetics over a Turk pretty much 365 days of a year.
Movements that a Turkish surgeon will, right? For example, they wouldn't do an implant under, your temporal.
Pluto Scorpio for millennials: cringe, drug addicted, overly obsessive sharers, chronic sharers of, that millennial stare that we do. Like, we do this thing where we go like this. So, hey guys, today, we're just really cooked like that. I will say this: Pluto is exalted in Scorpio. Pluto, dark, death, sex, of course, wants to be in Scorpio. When he moves out of Scorpio into Sagittarius, he's getting this getting cooked. It's getting cooked by that long Sagittarian journey,
Oral muscles, or they won't give you as extreme advancements in terms of millimeters. And sometimes they straight up won't even give surgery to people who are good looking, so that's kind of the downfall of Italy. So that's kind of why.
Literally, yeah, they're degenerate in all of the ways you would expect someone to be degenerate. Sigmund Freud would have had a field day with the millennial generation because of how obvious all of their neuroses and problems are. They really do wear their mental illness on their sleeve. With the Zoomer, it's a lot harder to see how insidious it is and how ideological it is. Learn about the sign of Sagittarius, ever concerned with direction and truth and ideology. What does it mean to be a Zoomer with your Pluto in Sagittarius? Yes, dude, man, I promised a video today. I committed to a stream every Saturn's Day and a video every Wotan's Day. But my video, which is actually, I'll leak it for you guys now, it's about Jewish golems and robots and how we're building Jewish golems. It's taking a little bit longer to edit than I thought it would. So I'm taking till next week to release that. And in the meantime, because I promised you a video, you at least get a stream, right? Because I don't want to let you guys down. If I say I'll do something, I'll do something. And also, not gonna lie, I wanted to watch this and I did not have an excuse as a man in his 30s to sit down and watch this interview with Clav unless I could justify it somehow. Welcome to the stream, dude, man.
I had to go to Turkey. So I'm going to Istanbul to a maxillofacial surgeon who is going to place the implants that, Giant Implants, who's my implant designer, custom made.
And that's the only surgery you're getting, or are you getting a couple?
It's kind of like a few surgeries done at once, right? So the surgery is called a Bimax. It's a double jaw surgery, right?
Double jaw surgery. Guys, do you know what's involved in oh man, I almost want to find a video of maxillofacial double jaw surgery. Give me a second.
So they're going to make an osteotomy in the upper jaw, my maxilla, and advance it forward, and the lower jaw. It's called a BSSO, and advance both of the jaws forward. And on top of that, during the same process, during the same hospital stay, to save money, they also place the implants.
Right. Am I the only one who's
just
getting
an all-in-one
actual? Am I the only one who's getting actual kind of chills a little bit from him describing the process? Because maybe you guys just aren't hearing what he's saying when he says, and they're going to push up my maxilla. Do you understand what's involved? You have to cut, you have to sever certain tendons and push the carve into the bone and literally push. I don't know. Fuck, man. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just millennial, innit? Just a fucking millennial.
Process. And I'll also be getting a rhinoplasty during the same thing.
Quick fucking nose job while you're on there. Holy shit, Clav.
So the Looksmaxxing community kind of has its own.
I'm glad somebody else is feeling it. That literally made my jaw all fucking tense. Him just describing that, I was like, oh man.
And then your average person has its own rating system, however variant it may be. I would guess that you've asked women to rate you before, I
think what they've been doing, and look, guys, I'm no expert on this, right? But I think what they've been doing is they've been doing fillers and they've been doing implants, non-surgical implants in male actors in Hollywood for a while. Get the chatted, chiseled jawline, get the face looking snatched, looking buff. I think that kind of gay stuff, male actors in Hollywood have been doing for a long time. What I think is different now is what's called maxillofacial surgery, which used to be reserved for people with cleft palates or hideous facial disfigurements caused by congenital defects at birth. What it is now is it's there are dudes in Thailand and in Turkey and whatever who have realized that there is a market for black pill surgeries. And look, one of these guys followed me on Instagram back in the day. And I looked at all the people he was following and they were all extremely chatted. So at the time I took it as a very much, I was like, wow, okay, that's I'm flattered that this surgeon is following. But now I'm thinking maybe he was just targeting me as like a potential customer. I don't know. Like, fuck, maybe I said something insecure on the internet. It's crazy times, man. It's crazy fucking times. Maxillofacial surgery to rearrange your jaw so that you can like feel normal, because really all they're trying to do is feel normal. They feel subhuman. You'll hear that word thrown around a lot in the Looksmaxxing like incel kind of world. Subhuman, right? Like,
Normally, right?
No.
No. Or like you've got a rating from a woman like on the street or something?
No.
Honestly,
No,
me
nothing
too.
like that.
I mean, I've had
Me too,
women
actually.
just, say it to me without me prompting them for it. I would just feel really weird saying, "Hey, can you rate me?" Like that just seems a little bit ridiculous. But I've heard women, say,
rate Clav in the chat. I would rate Clav like a solid 8.8. I would rate Clav maybe even a 9.2 or something. I mean, I would say Clav is a really good looking guy. He's young, he's healthy-ish, as healthy as you can be when your balls aren't working. He's in the prime of his life, right? Like he's got a lot going. I would say stop. I would be like, yo, please stop. I was like, holy shit. Now would be the time to stop. And he would probably be like, yo, you're just jealous. You don't want to see me ascend. But like, I don't want to see him look like the Bogandov twins. Like, fuck.
rating to me.
But you would say on average, you're probably like 8, 9, 10 from people. Like if 100 women rated you, that would probably be accurate on the normal person scale.
Right.
And then what would that kind of be on the Looksmaxxing scale? Because
okay, hold on. Who the fuck is rating Clav a 7? You need to get in the bin. You need to actually get in the bin. And close the door behind you. That's insane. That's insane. 7, bro. Who are you comparing him to?
I think what most people look at you and think is this guy doesn't need to go from 6'2" to 6'6". You explain the reason for that, and then this guy doesn't need to change his face any because he already has like a really well above average face.
You're such a prick. You're such a cunt. Let him bog out. He has to learn. No.
In the 99%.
There's one in every generation.
Well, what I want to say to that is extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures, right? And the extraordinary times are just how hypergamous women are nowadays.
Guys, you're insane. Guys, you're fucking mentally ill. The internet, you know what social media has done? Social media has cooked your brains the same as if you had been doing like half a kilo of coke a month for the last 20 years. Like that's what social media has done to you. It's fried your brains so much that you're saying Henry Cavill is an 8. Superman is an 8. That's how much the social media who's a fucking 9 then? Who's a fucking 10 then? Henry Cavill is an 8. Cooked. I can only hope that you're joking with Henry Cavill as an 8. You know what I mean? We have to give Henry Cavill 9. Otherwise, what the fuck is a 9? Like that's insane, dude.
Right? They're dating way above their looks level, way above their means. And the men who are not at the top percentiles are left with nothing.
Yeah,
right?
but
because,
guys, you're being women. You're being so petty, right? Clav rated Marlon 7, so he's below. Yeah, the meme in the Looksmaxxing community is be as brutal and as savage as you can, and notice as many little weird details as you can. Be as like micro granular and as autistic about appearance as you possibly can. So of course, Clav probably rated Marlon a 7 or whatever. You understand how much like women you sound? Like he rated me a 6, so I'm only gonna rate him a 4. Like just be objective. Clav's an 8 out of 10. Henry Cavill is a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. You guys are insane. You guys are fucking insane. You're cooked, like actually.
Everyone's extremely sexually promiscuous, having tons of different sexual partners. But this is the top, right? And then everyone who's not close, they're like, what the
yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of the world that we're living in now. So I would say that, with how crazy shit is, I might not be the crazy one after all for the methods I'm talking about.
So do you think this will technically ascend you by like a full point? Or do you think it's going to be?
Absolutely. I would say 1 to 2 points is definitely accurate.
And then I guess I haven't really browsed the forums of the Looksmaxxing community, but this is something that you were involved in like from a young age, right?
Correct.
So have you submitted a photo of yourself there and asked for a rating, or have you gotten ratings before? Like kind of give us an idea.
Yeah, so I've been rated what's called a high tier normie is what a lot of people say. So the scale is low tier normie, mid tier normie.
Fuck, guys, are gonna have to zoom in on the scale. Yo, the scale has arrived. True Adam? Question mark. Like question mark. True Adam. Guys, so what am I then? I'm like MTN or HTN or maybe LTN. Jesus Christ. Maybe I am sub 5. Damn, I don't know, dude. This is confusing. This is very like, who the fuck looks like this anime character at the bottom? Who is this supposed to be? Who is this? Holy shit. Holy shit. You just ascend until you become a cartoon character and you're just no longer human. Like, it's just like none of these people, maybe the middle two, like look normal. Like, it's so fucking cooked, man. I'm so glad I'm old. Like, holy shit.
A high tier normie, Chad Light, and Chad, right? So to quantify that is a little bit difficult to, kind of explain that to normal people, because normal people would assume that the average is a 7, right? Or this is what I always hear. Women will always tend to rate people that they find average, 50th percentile, as a 6.
Male gaze. Male gaze. Ask women who they find more attractive, Brad Pitt in Fight Club or Dolph Lundgren from the fucking you. Male gaze. Male gaze. Cooked male gaze.
7, which is ridiculous, right? Because an average person would be a 5 on the look scale, right? So people are placing me high tier normie as a little bit above average, between a 6 to a 6.5 on an actual decile scale that makes sense.
Guys, leave the Looksmaxxing scale behind. Mario A, okay? I don't know you, buddy, but I'm telling you, in the Looksmax sense, he's a 7. But IRL, I'd give him a 9. What do you mean IRL? You mean he's a 9? You mean just like you say, you think he's a 9. Don't say in the Looksmax world, you need to leave that shit behind. It's cooked. You know what you're actually saying? You're saying in the weird internet language that me and a bunch of incels only speak. we would describe it like this, but actually it's like this. Like, no. You need to return. You need to return to reality, Mario. Like, what the fuck is happening?
So that.
Dude, I'm glad I did a stream about this because I get to see how cooked you all are in the chat. Like, it's actually fantastic. It's actually amazing.
That's kind of where I am, a 6 to a 6.5.
So you would say that surgery would increase your score by 1-2 points, but if the
I think Clav rating himself a 6/6.5 is insane work. Insane work. I think Clav is like, well, you know what? Whatever. I'm not even going to get into the business of rate because I'm just going to this whole stream. I may as well retitle this stream "Rating Men." Like the
surgery went wrong, like if the surgery was botched, like what would happen? What's the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario is an infection, right? So that would mean that I would have to get the implant removed, do a 3-month course of antibiotics, and get it replaced.
I'm getting mixed messages here. I'm getting high tier. I'm getting low tier. Like, what's happening here? Like, I need to know what kind of normie I am. I'm very aware that I'm a normie. I need to know what kind of tier of normie. It matters, okay?
It's a botch, right? But in terms of not getting the aesthetic result desired, that's certainly a possibility that you're like, hey, like, I don't exactly know if I like how I look. I look a little bit too masculine, too striking, things like that. But implants can certainly be removed, right? Revisions can be.
Well, I'll bring you up to speed, CJ Dio. It is based, and Clav is based. And I don't mean based in the like, oh, I'm racist and I get it about the Jews sense. I mean based in the true meaning of like, he's an authentic, real guy. And who he is on camera is literally who he is behind the scenes. He'll tell you he takes meth. He doesn't give a fuck. I like him for that. I also think some of his advice on how to get better looking is actually really good. And he actually, bone smashing aside, he does give guys good, tangible advice that's mostly based in science. My problem with Clav is not even the Looksmaxxing. It's that he's taking it too far. It's the narcissism. It's like, when will it end? When will you stop? I don't know if you guys realize there is a limit to Looksmaxxing. There is you can only put a couple of points on yourself before you start to bog out and you start to become like, oh man. So it's like, yeah, it's based, but his baseness will lead to his destruction. It's very much an Icarus figure.
It's just a very daunting process because you're like, oh wow, I just got the surgery, I'm done. Now I'm ready to mog. I ascended. And then you're like, shit, I really don't like this. I'm actually worse off now. I don't really think that that's a likelihood for me, but it certainly is a possibility, right? So I'm willing to acknowledge it. but revisions can
Exactly. And where do you stop? He's done streams on Kick of him going out and like flirting with girls on the street and stuff and trying to pull girls in the street, and it's awkward as fuck. I mean, like he has the charisma of a chloroform rag. He has the charisma of like a blinking light bulb. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard to kind of watching him pull girls is like painful because you can see the girls are attracted to him and they want him to say anything, like anything funny to prove that he has a personality, and he just sort of sits there. And I guess for him, or stands there rather, and I guess for him, he's trying to prove that he can get girls just through looks, and it is all about looks. So for him to be funny wouldn't help his brand. He has to just stand there, and then a girl awkwardly gives her his phone number. It's just a very, very cringe thing to watch. Like, you know, at the end of this, in a few minutes, I'll give you guys the brutal black pill and the charisma pill. I guess we'll close out with that. I'll stick the link in the chat if anybody wants to keep watching this with me. But there's only so much Looksmaxxing someone can take in a day. You know what I mean? I just wanted to speed run you up to date on who Clav actually is. What does EHC mean? High tier normie equals EHC. No, of course not, dude. In the black pill Looksmaxxer space, I don't think I'm a high tier normie. I think they would say I'm a low tier normie or I'm a sub 5 or whatever. But they're ridiculous. I rate myself as 6, and I know I'm right. Like I know if I in a room of 10 guys, I'm probably mogging 5 of them. This is what I mean by 6. Like holy shit, it's crazy. It's like fucking mental. George fishing for compliments from Tamale Online. That's amazing. That's about. Listen, I am just confused and cooked. No, sorry, I'm confused because you're cooked, right? I'm confused because my idea of a 6 is not the same as your idea of a 6. So when you guys tell me, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. Whatever compliments you guys give me, I'm just gonna add 2 points onto them anyway. This is gonna fuck my ego up in the opposite direction. Because I can't take you guys seriously. You rated Henry Cavill an 8. You rated Henry Cavill a fucking 8. Like, what the fuck?
Can be made, and I do have the resources to correct any errors if possible. So I'm not too worried about that. It certainly would suck if I had to get things revised, but I don't really think that that's a high likelihood.
And then when it comes to attraction, how would you differentiate what the average person thinks of attraction? Well, I can just answer this. It would probably be things like symmetry, healthy hair, maybe like a tan, but what are all the factors considered in kind of your community?
So it's a huge numbers thing. It's really autistic, but
I know this is hard for the right-wing mind to comprehend. I know this is hard for people to get their heads around, but some of us don't particularly want to have a family or want to have kids or some of us don't see it as fucking around. Once you've decided that you're not going to have kids or don't want to have kids, it's not like this. There's not this mad pressure to do it. But I appreciate your advice. I know that you're only saying that because you want the best for me, so I'll try and take it.
Everything is about numbers, right? And measurements. So that could be the measurement of your eyes based on, the width of your zygos, and relativity. That could be your mid-face ratio, right? So the distance from your eyes, to the outer part of your lips, and this is supposed to be 1-to-1, your mid-face. The facial width, right? The width of your jaw relative to the width of your cheekbones. There's just all these different numbers, and then it gets you what's called a harmony score, right? So you take all these different measurements, you do the math, you check it out on your face, and then we're gonna get a percentage harmony score. And that's kind of a good way to determine your looks, but there's also other factors that play into things like how dimorphic you are, like how masculine you look, and how angular you are, how lean you are.
Can I just say, this is the most based comment that we've had all evening. The chat's been pretty dead, TBH. You guys have been pretty weak this evening in terms of your trolling and your commentary and your banter. Hypatia knocked it out of the fucking park there at the end. Thank God for women, eh? Holy shit.
How good your coloring is, right? If you have blue eyes, if you're tan, things like that. So there's a lot of different factors, and it's just something you kind of understand intrinsically once you've been in the community for a long time.
So who would you say is an ideal looking guy? I think the term is True Adam or maybe Chad. Who?
I think this interviewer is fantastic, by the way. He's asking a really good line of questioning. I can see where he's going. It's kind of interesting.
Who is a guy who's pretty high up on the scale?
So in terms of the numbers thing, the closest person we get to perfection is Matt Bomer, right? From White Collar. You guys know Neil Caffrey. I'm sure most people have seen. So he gets to about a 94% harmony score, which I believe is the highest. So in terms of pure numbers, he would be considered the true Adam, is a term I see a lot on TikTok. I find it a little ridiculous, you know, but yeah, so he would be the closest it gets. But you know, there are some people who argue that there's other people who are better looking, maybe because they're slightly more dimorphic, a little bit more striking, things like that, even if they have a lower harmony score.
So who came up with all of this?
So this has been around for thousands of years, right? When we think of the mid-face ratio being 1-to-1, this is something that was, you know, made in ancient Greece, right? So
he's actually done his homework. Terrifying crossover between Looksmaxxing and physiognomy. Terrifying crossover.
Not numbers that just autistic people on forums came up with 5 years ago. This is like, you know, really, it's almost like the Fibonacci sequence is the way that I think about it, right? Because it's something that we all subconsciously know to be true, and it was identified very early on in history.
So Clav, you say that looks are everything, but at one point you said you wouldn't leave your girlfriend at the time for a model. Is that true?
Yeah, that was true.
So do you care about looks when it comes to dating, or maybe even your close relationships? And do you think it's the most?
Oh, buddy, silly question. Silly question. He cares about his looks. He cares about his looks way more than his girls' look. Man, you can only care about somebody's looks. You can't get, like, you haven't got time to worry about what she looks like and worry about whether you're getting a facial implant, you know.
Most important thing in your personal life?
Well, I care about my looks, and I think that my looks are
Fuck, I was half trolling. This is why I love him. This is why I love him. He's so endearing because of the honesty and the authenticity and the autism. It's impossible to hate on him. Yes, it's dangerous what he's promoting. Yes, he's like pushing a culture of delusions of grandeur and narcissism and like, blah, 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 blah. He's just, you can kind of tell that he's just an authentic guy. I wouldn't even want to go for a drink with him. Like I say, I wouldn't even want to hang out with him. I don't find him particularly entertaining or funny or charming or like interesting in any way. But he's just who he is. You can't knock him for being who he is. He's a real nigga. Like he really is. Like just unequivocally.
very important to me. But in terms of just being happy with, you know, my romantic life, you know, I think that personality is a huge thing. So I think that those are two completely separate issues. So I absolutely stand by that, you know.
No, of course it doesn't. But they'll make it if they could, if they can. They'll connect these two things, I'm sure.
Do you
think in Looksmaxxing forums they're not posting like facial thirds physiognomy stuff from ancient Greece? Not posting about like, you know, you think they're not developing in some parts of the Looksmaxxing like communities a kind of spiritual justification for what they're doing, a historical justification for what they're doing? Like, man, definitely they are. It's all cope.
maybe see that as a bit contradictory because the whole looks are the main thing that matters.
Real.
Is based on the fact that everyone else subconsciously thinks they matter, but you yourself don't even like place that as the most important thing.
I absolutely think it could be a little bit contradictory, but the thing is, I'm playing a game and trying to get a result, right? So I know that looks are going to help me maintain my relationship more, you know, help whatever long-term partner I'm with, you know, see a lot more value in me, actually be able to love me to a higher degree. So I know these things are true, but I don't really think that that's true for me, right? I think that if I'm attracted to someone, then I'm not really too worried about whether their mid-face ratio is 1-to-1, right? Yeah. It's just like if I'm able to be attracted to them, then I'm able to be attracted to them. But I know that, you know, women are a little bit different, you know, with hypergamy and all this stuff that we talked about, trying to date beyond their means. So I'm like, in the back of my mind, I know, you know, that I kind of have to be a little bit more on top of my game than women do.
So do you think looks are the most important thing for women?
I would say so, absolutely, without a doubt.
Like for them to...
Well, he actually doesn't have a girlfriend anymore, Hector, because as you will know, if you see the video at the start of this clip, of the stream, L-girlfriend, W community, right? Man, it's so sad. Like, it's actually really sad because you can tell he's going to push away any chance of like having legitimate. You know, I don't want to curse the guy. It's like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy out that way. Hector, he worked in an office and developed a serious mental illness. He's completely addicted. Damn. Okay.
Get men Like, would you say that's the most important thing for women to focus on?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, right, the first impression is everything, and the first impression will always be looks. But I don't really think it's a good idea for me to say, I would leave my girlfriend in a second for a top tier model, right? Because obviously, if the two were standing next to each other, before I had been romantically involved with either, you're obviously going to go with the top tier model. But once you've actually built a connection and, some sort of long-term thing with someone and you actually start to love them, it's a little bit different, right? You're not just going to leave them in the blink of an eye.
Interesting take, valid take, probably his first good ethical take.
For someone who's a little bit better looking. That's just not really how.
Straight up, his teeth don't actually fit his face. If you look at his jaw when he talks, even now, because of the fillers and because of the dental work, and because his teeth don't actually quite fit his face, there's like an uncanny thing going on with his face. Don't know if you can note it. Like, it doesn't, again, I'm being I'm becoming like them now. I'm becoming like super hypercritical or whatever. But the only reason I observe it is because it's not natural. There's something, you can tell there's some fuckery afoot. You see similar things sometimes with women and women's faces when they've been having filler or Botox or whatever the fuck it is. He's like, God, imagine the regime this poor cunt is on. Like,
how it works. I don't really think that's how it works for women too, who have optimal brain chemistry. But a lot of the women we see.
Yeah, he can. He absolutely can. And the question is, will he, though, if it's his, not just his identity, but if it's his means of making a living? And then what happens when he gets old? Which, by the way, as I keep trying to remind you, motherfuckers, is not my age old, unk status George, right? It's not being in your 30s. Old now is 23. Old now is 24. In this world of this like sick, demented, twisted, black-pilled shit, I'm practically deceased, and he's a couple years away from being over, from being past it. It's done. You wouldn't understand how much of this is tied to, again, male gaze and homosexual sexuality. I'm not saying Clav is gay. I think he's straight. But his audience, I know a couple of guys in Clav's audience. I know a couple of guys who were following Clav a year ago. They happen to be some of the gayest guys I know. I don't think it's a coincidence. Just saying.
Today would probably do that.
What does it mean to be low inhibition?
So being low inhibition is low anxiety, having a low amount of certain neurotransmitters that are linked to anxiety, and just being able to kind of do and say whatever you want without, spiking your cortisol, getting really anxious. Just being free is the best way to put it. That's always been me. I've really never.
Well. Thank you, Hoodoo. I just want to say, guys, this is really the true point of this stream. I've reached out to a couple of them this week, but I need your help. If you know any, of course, Clav is too ascended for the likes of this channel currently. But if you know any, I'm particularly interested in speaking to female Looksmaxxers. Like I said, there's a real trend of women who have realized that there's a whole demographic of men that they can appeal to by being mid and complaining about it and trying, it's really fascinating. If you guys know any Looksmaxxers, if you follow any, if you're aware of any who are in the space, send them over to me. Drop me a link on Twitter. I'll send them a DM and see if I can get hold of them, or reach out to them and ask them if they want to do a stream. Put it, if you're in the Black Library, help me put it together. Because I am fascinated by this as a subculture. I'm fascinated by this as one of the many manifestations of what I'm calling the age of Aquarius. I know a lot of you don't like that. I know a lot of you want to see this as we talked about it earlier, mouse utopia, rat utopia, the end of Western civilization, the decline. But I think this is much more symptomatic of just the age that we're in, the time that we're in. And I really want to talk to one of these people about it, drill down into their psychology. I have a slightly different line of questioning to what this guy is doing.
Cared about anyone's opinion, never really cared about embarrassing myself, getting rejected, getting shot down. These are just not things that register in my brain, So it's genetic. And
if you could see the kind of female Looksmaxxers that I'm talking about, you'd realize very quickly that I'm not trying to bang them, because it's uncanny. There's something eerie. There's something eerie and weird about the female Looksmaxxer specifically.
For everyone, some people deal with horribly high inhibition, and it's life-ruining. But that's just never been me.
Yeah. Do you think alcohol is evil but necessary?
Absolutely. Yeah. Alcohol is the best way to block some of the neurotransmitters that are going to cause people to have anxiety. It's going to make you more social. It's going to make you more loose, more low inhib. but it's a temporary solution. That's why it's a huge problem, because once you start to rely on alcohol for your social results for getting women, when you're not drunk and when you're not intoxicated, your baseline state is still the same shitty version that it is. And that could lead to alcoholism. People are going to constantly start to drink, for daytime social events, right? To go to someone's birthday party. So that's why I really don't like to suggest drinking, but it's a phenomenal way to just give yourself a little bit of an edge in nightlife and in certain situations.
Yes, so you have a background in.
No, it's different. It's different. Women are always doing beauty and makeup tips and contouring and mascara and all these kind of tricks and stuff. You're right, it's part of the normal. I'm talking about a female Looksmaxxer. I'm talking about they use the Looksmaxxer music. They use the Looksmaxxer edit style. Their videos are them being like, look how snatched my jawline is. Is my maxilla, guys, is my maxilla fucked up? And their audience of incel men is like, mid 4.2 negative canthal tilt. Like, they've realized that there's a money to be made here. There's so many insecure, lonely, atomized men now that women influencers have realized that it's easier to compete in the chud sell Looksmaxxing space than it is to compete in the beauty space against all the other women. So I'd love to interview one of these like really chudded female Looksmaxxers. I think you guys are missing the point. A female Looksmaxxer, isn't that just a female? No, guys, I'm telling you about a specific thing that's happening, like a subculture that is emerging.
Nightlife that I think has shaped some of your beliefs today. So aside from like the stats on dating apps and women choosing the top percentile of men, like what's kind of shaped your views around women? And what did you used to do in nightlife?
So I was a bouncer for a little while, and that kind of helped me make a lot of necessary observations to shape kind of how I think about everything, right? So I was noticing who was going home with the pretty girls every night, and I noticed it was really about 1 to 2% of men, right? So it was people who were very tall, people who were very good looking. This is something I was noticing over my formative years when I was a teenager growing up, right? So making these observations, kind of seeing that sometimes good-looking people would be able to go up to women and start making out with them without saying anything. I kind of started to shift my worldview a little bit and realize, hey, okay, so this is like the most important metric, and I have to go all in.
Do you think status is more important than looks?
Absolutely not.
No.
Saskia, what is going on? You literally tapped into my outro. You literally tapped into my future outro using your psychic abilities. That's crazy. Wow.
No.
Nothing else?
I think that status can get you further than looks sometimes, but in terms of practicality, to beat people out in terms of looks, you have to be so outrageously well-resourced that it just doesn't seem like something that's even worth suggesting or talking about, because the average person will never get there. The average person can improve their looks a lot more than their status,
Bless your heart. I added an 18-year-old Russian girl to the Black Library. She's a witch, long story. And she doesn't even barely speaks English. She's like the entire chat started atting her in Russian. So then I told them all that she was a femboy to watch their reaction. What you guys don't understand, the entire Black Library is a shit test. It's a magical shit test. It's the gateway to you, between you and the liminal, like the occult. I'm not just letting anybody in there. You will be tested. You will be shit tested. For the last 2 weeks, everyone has believed that 18-year-old Russian girl has been a boy because I said she was. So nobody flirted with her, or they all stopped flirting with her. You're all missing an opportunity. So now they're all rushing to the Black Library to go find that. You can't outmaneuver me. I'm too evil. I'm too Jewish with it, right? You can't beat me. Holy shit.
Actually accomplished.
Jordan has a group chat full of underage girls. Yeah, I do. Cope about it.
To be able to be hooking up with like top tier models, you really have to be like 7 to 8 figure tier to be able to compete with some of these top looking guys. So I would say start with the looks, but also go with the status. It's the two metrics are majorly important, but what's actually possible for most people.
Those two metrics are majorly important. And I think this really matters because he specifically left off money, PSL, something status looks. PSL. I don't know what the P stands for. Can someone tell me in the chat what P stands for in PSL? Like on the PSL scale, something status look, or is not? Maybe it's not. Maybe that's not what PSL stands for. Man, I'm so out of it. I have no idea. But that was really interesting what he said. He said, you know, the traditional triad of like looks, money, status. He completely discounts money because, in his own words, as he just said, that's impossible for most people to attain. I mean, I would argue that superior natural genetics that don't make you look like one of the Bogandov brothers are impossible for most people to attain. I would say that like the kind of charisma and social networking needed to become high status is impossible for most people to attain. And I guess this brings me to my like final thing that I wanted to say on this stream tonight, which is like, there are other black pills. You guys calling me blue pilled for like, you know, not thinking that looks are everything. Or have you tried considering charisma? Have you tried actually looking at Clav? Have you tried looking at the 6'2" chiseled jawed Chad in front of you? And have you noticed that he has no fucking riz? Have you noticed that his aura, he has like negative aura, which he's doing everything he can to combat with his physical appearance and with his posture and with his mannerisms, but it's all trying too hard. And the harder he tries, the less riz that he has. Have you noticed? Charisma is Greek. It means favored by the gods. It's even more brutal in the way it's distributed than anything else, because unlike money and looks, which are usually distributed along a Pareto principle, 20% of people good looking, 80% of people ugly, 20% of people rich, 80% of people poor, charisma is distributed by the 1,000 to one person. That's why people call it having X factor. And a really brutal, you guys love black pills, right? You love sitting in your own filth and wallowing in your own misery. Well, here's a black pill. Here's a black pill for you. A bum guy who's short and ugly with enough riz can take Clavicula's girl. There's a black pill for you. That's how important charisma is. That's how important being like witty and funny and fast and quick and spontaneous actually is in life. How important it is to be charismatic, far more important than looks, far more important than money, far more important than status, because with enough charisma, you can fake status. With enough charisma, you can fake money. I might literally start describing people as money when they do the kind of thing that I'm talking about. You see something, you're like, you see some kid like do a fucking 360 ollie kick flip on a skateboard. You're like, that's just fucking money. That's just money. Because like aura, you can't really buy aura. It's a real fucking black pill. It's a much harder black pill than what a lot of these guys are selling you. I'm not going to lie, but if you want the real truth, it's like, yeah, you can max out your fucking looks. You could be a millionaire. You could be a millionaire who's well-respected, who has a good job. Max out your status. Max out your looks. Max out your money. It's really fucking hard to compete in charisma. Like, it's really fucking hard to compete. There are some people in the world who are so utterly charismatic that they make other people orbit them, literally. That's magic. So like magic kind of mogs, actually. Magic kind of mogs looks. Magic kind of mogs status. Magic actually kind of mogs money. But that's just like my opinion, man. You know what I mean? That's just like my opinion, man.
I'd say start with looks.
So what you're speaking
Clav
about
would say start with looks.
here seems to be a lot on the front end of like meeting a woman or connecting with a guy. But as far as like long-term relationship happiness, would you say from your experience that a woman is more happy with a guy who's rich but not very good looking, or a guy that's good looking but not very wealthy? He's broke.
A woman who's with a man who's rich and not good looking.
Charisma is linked to all three, because charisma will be the thing that allows you to make more money. Charisma will be the thing that gets you more social status. Charisma will create an aura around you that will make women think you are better looking. Charisma will allow you to hang out with hot women. Other women will see you with those hot women and will want to have sex with you. Who is Serge Gainsbourg? Who is Jane Birkin that the bag is named after? How the fuck did Serge Gainsbourg pull Jane Birkin? And don't give me some bullshit about he's famous. He's famous or he's rich. You know why he's famous and he's rich? Because he's charismatic as fuck and you could never. You could fucking never. So don't give me that shit. Genuinely, you want a brutal black pill? You guys love misery porn? Take the charisma pill. You could never.
Will never truly love her. Okay, this is a term called beta buxing, right? Where a guy is only able to, have a girl, be with him simply due to his money.
And that means they could never, dude, man. That means they could never, because most people don't have that will. Most people don't have a stellium of planets in Aries. Most people can't just assert their fucking will on the world like that in order to change their personality. Clav, a guy who has spent literally the last 10 years of his life dedicated to improving himself in every way possible. Still, I'm kind of falling asleep a little bit when he's talking. Still, I'm not really listening when he's talking. Like I'm not really, he doesn't have me transfixed and captivated. He's not like holding my fucking attention so that I can't look away. He doesn't have it, whatever that is, right? And I'm saying if you guys want to get really brutal, now, of course, do you need charisma? Do you actually need charisma to get by in life? No, of course you don't. You do the best you can with the hands that you're dealt. But you don't even see the myriad ways in which you're being mogged right now.
Beta buxer. So they will never look at your eyes and be able to love you. And that's a horrible reality to face. And it's really sad. And I think a lot of them know that. But they're
You're my
just okay
favorite,
with it
you're my
because
favorite black pill child in the chat. I have to be real.
It's a way to overcome the disparity of, the modern dating market, right? So they've realized that, hey, this is kind of what I have to do. And it's out of necessity, but it's still sad at the end of the day.
It's like, okay, I'll buy. Okay, I'll buy. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you can see, look, go and Google right now. Do me a favor. Go and Google the guy that Margaret Qualley is dating right now. I'll wait. Go and Google the guy, the Jewish record producer or whatever, that Margaret Qualley is dating right now. Yeah. Yeah. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it. Sorry, Chud. Sorry, Chud. The high verbal IQ Jew gets the girl in the end. Sorry, Chud.
Yeah, this kind of contradicts a philosophy that I heard Myron Gaines talking about yesterday when we spoke. He said that, guys, if you don't have any money or any status, you're just always going to be worried about a dude with more money than you taking your girl. Do you kind of see it the opposite way?
I do, absolutely. It's the complete opposite way. I think he's
Heinrich,
dead wrong on that point.
And for the record, Clav should be worried about a guy with more riz taking his girl.
It will always be, someone who's better looking, who's going to screw things up for you, right? Because women aren't really logical people. They won't sit there and think, hey, I'm in this, relationship where I have millions of dollars at my disposal. Things are really good for me. I'm in a gated community. I'm safe. They just don't think like, I'm not going to mess things up. They will just do irrational things like hook up with the gardener who's a chat.
You know what? The chat is so good at baiting me. They've doubled down on the on the incel like thing where they're like, she's walled. Qualley is used goods. Like, fuck, you guys are so good. You guys are so good. Go and Google a picture of current Ana de Armas. She mogs you. She mogs you, and she's 45 years old. Man, you're too internet brain. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Or something like that. Obviously, Chad wouldn't be a gardener, but you get the picture, you know? So they're just not very rational people.
You've admitted that your content is dangerous because people misinterpret it.
Correct.
If you know that, why do you keep spreading it out there?
Because I think that I offer comprehensive resources, right? So I do long form content as well, where if you actually, go through and listen to everything I'm saying, don't take things out of context, rather, things can go really well for you. We're talking about dangerous, pharmaceutical drugs, and with short form content, it is hard sometimes to, fully comprehensively explain everything. But, when I funnel things to my YouTube.
So you, Akula, are exactly the kind of guy I was talking about at the start of the stream, right? If you're looking at those kind of like low, not even low, but if you're like below a 7 and above a 1, then Looksmaxxing can probably be very beneficial to you. Some kind of Looksmaxxing, caring more about your hair, caring more about how weight loss, getting in the gym, getting more muscular. I wouldn't go full Lefort for maxillofacial reconstructive surgery, leg lengthening, titanium leg extensions, but each to their own. I am not against, I want to make it clear for the record, I am not against Looksmaxxing, but there has to be limits to this shit. And what we're looking at in front of us now is a young man with body dysmorphia, narcissistic cluster B traits, right? Like just, and that's not using any magic or astrology to diagnose this.
YouTube, I see less of a problem with it, right? And I always tell people, don't rely on a 30-second video to make a decision on things. I'm kind of just spreading awareness on various different methods, and I expect people to do a little bit more diligent research in terms of, peptides and pharmaceuticals before, just haphazardly taking things.
What's a sign that someone isn't attractive?
Legend. And he's right again, he's right there, right? He do some fucking research before actually getting. He does do his research. His videos are actually really, really well backed up by. That's why I told you, I've glazed Clav enough on this. I really don't think he is the problem. I think he's just a symptom.
Do people not want to talk to the elevator? Do they not even look at you when walking by? I think these are just signs, like these are subtleties. Do people treat you really negatively, all the time in your life? Are people rude to you? Just do they never smile? Things like that. Do people look away if you make eye contact and look disgusted? You just kind of start to pick up on it as you're, going through life as an unattractive person. And people subconsciously know that they're not good looking. You don't have to be a Looksmaxxer. You don't have to go through these black pill Looksmaxx forms to know and get rated. It's something intrinsic. It's something subconscious. You know when you're ugly, and it's a horrible thing to deal with.
A big one for me, and this is pretty controversial to say, but I had this friend who was really good looking, and he whistled at some girls, and I was like, oh my God, like, don't do that, bro. Like, women hate getting catcalled. And they all kind of waved back at him. We're like, hey, like, how's it going? And I was like, there's no way that just happened. I'd never experienced someone doing that in my life. I'm sure you've had like similar experiences to that, maybe.
Yeah. So in terms of what you can get away with, the threshold goes through the roof as you get better looking, right? You can do things that unattractive people can never fathom, right? You could see sometimes when I was working in nightlife, people would just go up to chicks, just grab them right away and start dancing, making out with them without saying a word. You try to do that as an unattractive male, someone's going to start screaming rape, right? So these are just the disparities and the differences between living.
Yeah, a little flash there, a little insight into how brutal, how butthurt he actually feels about it. How at one point he really did, even I think he still does, consider himself to be like an unattractive man on some very fundamental, visceral level. And like, whilst that is true, I never felt some type of way about it. I don't know, like, I don't necessarily know. Kind of like how, there's rich people in the world and they can buy more stuff than you can. And there's like people with lots of connections and friends and they go to more parties than you do. Like, yeah, there are guys who are better looking who get more female attention. Maybe I'm not even arguing with like the level to which he's hamming it up. And I think he is hamming it up a bit. Overplaying perhaps how much as a hot guy you can just go up to a girl and grab her and like start getting rapey at the bar. But I get what he means. There's way more that you can get away with if you're attractive. I've seen it. I've seen guys who are like male model level, like just say the most dumb shit and women laughing. But again, this is the thing. Are they really laughing? No, they're just like, what they're laughing is it's just like, fuck me. Like, it's not, they're not actually, it's too black. It's just fundamentally too black pill for me. We reach a limit of like black pilling where it's just like, I'm all for black pills, but I think they have to be taken in moderation. They have to be taken realistically. I think the charisma pill is way harder than the looks pill. But you're not ready for that conversation, I guess.
Living as an unattractive male and living as an attractive male, just you kind of have to go about things differently. What's acceptable is vastly different.
Yeah.
Man, this depresses me. This actually depresses me because I don't think it's a binary. I don't think it's like guys like me and you get smiled at the grocery store and other guys don't get smiled at the grocery store. I just think other guys would have to try a lot harder to get smiled at, maybe. Just like there are guys who mug me and get way more smiles than I do at the grocery store, right? Just a matter of perspective and it's like a spectrum. It's like, yeah, I don't think it's this binary thing about there are guys who get pussy and there are guys who don't get pussy. It can be the same guy. You can have a dry spell. You can have a bad year. You can have you know what I mean? Like, it's like people fluctuate, people change, people get better looking, they get worse looking, they lose weight, they gain status, they gain confidence. Like it's, I don't know. I get what you're saying though. I get what you're saying. Yeah, you agree. All right.
I think I would agree. But guys, that does not mean do those things. It just means that some guys are able to get away with them. So what is the halo?
Sorry, yeah, let me clarify because I do talk over myself sometimes. I'm for black pills as in I'm for uncomfortable truths. I actually see red pilling rather than black pilling as like one of my reasons why I'm here on this planet. I do like and appreciate uncomfortable truths. I think the difference I'd like to delineate here is between black pills and black pilling and being a black pillar, because they're not the same. And like I say, it's not about whether or not you accept that the black pills are true. It's what you do with them. Like once you've taken it on board, they're like, okay, this is a reality. Yeah, guys who are better looking get more play. Right. What do I want to do then? Do I want to use the resources I can to become a little bit better looking? Do I want to upgrade myself in other departments so I can compete with those guys? Or do I want to sulk in misery about how it's all over because I don't mog on the PSL scale? You know? Maybe that's too nuanced for you, and maybe that's too, like, you know what I mean?
Effect. The halo effect is, going on.
But all these things, all these little mini black pills, halo effect, hypergamy, whatever, they're all true. They're all obviously true. I didn't think we had to debate that. I didn't realize we were doing like preschool bullshit here. Like, yeah, of course they're true. The question is, what do you do about the fact that they're true? How much do you let it define you? How much are you willing to bend the limits of the simulation to conform to your will at the end of the day? Because that's what makes you an NPC. You know what I mean? Black pills are for magicians. Black pilling is for NPC. How about that? And even then, I would say red pills are for magicians. Because, like, quite frankly, the black pill thing is a mindset. It's doom and gloom. It's like, there's nothing wrong with an uncomfortable truth. There's nothing wrong with a red pill. Black pill is choosing to black pilled is what you get when you overdose on red pills, is how I would describe it.
Right. What we were just talking about. Everything is going to be perceived better when you're better looking. Right. So certain traits, like if you're someone who.
Dude, you guys need to get your story straight. Either I'm a sub 5 on the look scale, or I'm talking from a place of privilege. It can't be both. I almost feel like you bend your ratings to adjust to your emotions. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like you rate people based much more on your emotions than you realize.
Is on their computer all day. They're going to be like, oh, wow, he's so shy, he's so nerdy. Like, this is so cute. Whereas if you're unattractive, you're a computer gamer, you're, sitting in your room all day, oh, that guy's a fucking weirdo. That guy's a fucking creep. Stuff like this. So it's just the way different actions that you do are perceived will be vastly changed by your looks level.
What's an example of this that sticks out to you in particular? Case Shammy and I talked about.
I was never engaged. I was in a relationship though for about 4.5, maybe years almost. Yeah, sad times when people be breaking up. I'm sadder for you that you just found out about it, TBH. I hope you can deal with it. Okay.
How serial killers would often get like better sentences, or like
Correct.
people would make edits of them on TikTok. But what's something you?
Yeah. So attractive prisoners get 40% less, on their prison sentence than unattractive, prisoners, or people on trial rather. So that's an example of the halo effects. I'd say that the biggest, like, in your face example of this was Jeremy Meeks. I don't know if you're familiar with who that is.
Jeremy Meeks is a black pill. There's no getting around it. He's a literal black pill.
So Jeremy Meeks.
Not because of the attractiveness or the halo effect, though, because of the hybristophilia, because of the criminal, like women's attraction to criminality. It's a very depressing thing. It is a very depressing thing. And if you allow it to be, unironically, who is good on this topic is like Jordan Peterson. He doesn't embody it himself. It's very much like do as I say, not as I do. But he talks about, how you need to be a dangerous man, how you need to have the capacity for violence, how you need to have the capacity for criminality. You need to carry a sword, but keep it sheathed in a way. And I think that's like the correct approach to dealing with the hybristophilia. When you realize the black pill, that women are attracted to violent men, women are attracted to dominant men, women are attracted to the cope is not to just the cope is to adjust accordingly, but not to become a fucking criminal yourself, right? You can cope by adopting some of those traits, and that will help you be more attractive to women. But yeah, it's a black pill. There's no getting Jeremy Meeks and hybristophilia. It's a black pill. There's no getting around it.
Goes to jail for I believe it was assault and battery, right? And he gets bailed out by women on Facebook because they thought he was attractive, right? So just stuff like this, and he becomes a model from committing a crime. So that's probably the biggest halo effect that's even like
Not even, you have
imaginable.
to try a lot
And
harder
almost
than
no
that.
one will be able to experience that level of it. But that's just like the pinnacle halo effect that you commit a crime that's awful and you become a model and you have girls fall in love with you.
So women on Facebook bailed him out?
Correct. Yeah.
That's insane. I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah.
He also, there was an interview of him where he was like, yeah, man, it's just hard work that gets you there.
And he also had like a funny like Freudian slip in the interview. He's like, never get up, man. But you know these guys are being incredibly disingenuous when they say stuff like that. Every male model's interview is honestly just rage fuel. Like the stuff that they're saying, and you could tell that they're just like trying not to laugh at the shit that they're saying in the interview, how disingenuous it is. Oh, you just got to be a good person. Looks are only 30% of it. After building a career on being good looking, it's like, dude, just give me a break. So I always find those to be quite funny.
So to kind of encapsulate everything that we've been saying so far,
Yeah.
if you had to put it simply, Clav, why do you Looksmax?
I look.
Place your bets, guys. Place your bets. Why does Clav Looksmax? What do we think? What do we think is the motivation? What do we think is the reasoning behind it? I've already said my piece. I've given you my take. I don't think Looksmaxxing is rooted in insecurity. And even if it is, I don't think insecurity is necessarily a bad thing. Being conscious of things where you want to improve and then improving is obviously good. Clav is bad because he's narcissist, not because he has a casual interest in Looksmaxxing. But why do you guys think he does it? Do you agree with me that it's insecurity? Do you think it's just a money thing? Do you agree with me that it's like a marketing genius? Do you agree with me that Clav is a marketing genius? What do you guys think? I'm putting the link in the chat one more time, just in case anybody wants to say their piece. Speak now or forever hold your penis. You know what I mean? Why do you think he does it, guys?
Max, purely from a logical standpoint. I'm trying to improve the quality of my life, and I have come to the conclusion that this is the best means to do so. I know that looks are the most important metric, and it's something that's super within my grasp, right? I maximize all metrics of my life, but I've just come to the conclusion, based on anecdotes, based on numbers, that looks are the most important metric, and it would be insane to not prioritize them. That's why I Looksmax. It's not insecurity. It's not a trend for me. It's just I'm doing everything I can to improve.
What's the most important moment of your childhood for us to understand?
Interesting takes coming in. We have that it's optimal, you know, like this utilitarian autistic proclivity for optimizing and for improving and for efficiency that we're seeing in some of the more aughty people in this generation. You got other people saying that he was rejected by a girl, maybe that led to it. Other people straight up saying they think he's gay. They think he's doing it to attract homosexual gay men to have sex with. I think that's horrible. Hi, Kimberly. Hello, Kimberly. Okay, I'm gonna put you back in the back chat, Kimberly. So your mic out. I can't hear her. He's short and overcompensating is my guess. He's 6'2" tall. How short do you want to go? What do we think? Oh, I guess there's two questions here, isn't there, really? There's what do we think he's going to say? And what do we actually believe? Because I believe it's insecurity, but I think he's going to say something like, what do monomaniacal people say? I need to be the best. I need to be the best. I Looksmax because I am like, he's not going to say it for the normal reasons that people, he's not going to admit to why he actually started Looksmaxing in the first place. He's going to say what bodybuilders say, where it's like, I need to win. It's like, it's about the competition, something like that, maybe. But yeah, insecurity would be my something gay. You want to say something gay? Okay. Kimberly, sorry about like, I don't know if I kicked you by accident or if, whatever. I'll put the link again if you want to call back, but let's just hear it out from Clav.
Who you are.
I think the most important moment of my childhood was not, I'll just explain, maybe I'll extend it a little bit, you know, past just one specific instance, because I never had like something super brutal that was like memorable, like, you know.
Lie. I don't know how much you guys know about micro expressions. Lie. He was gonna open it up. Yo, we have to go back. He was literally going to say, when I was a child, this traumatic thing happened to me. And then he decided not to. I don't know if you caught that. Most of you are autistic, right? You don't that good with like facial expressions, but trust me, I'm an empath.
Of my childhood was
you can see the exact moment where he switches in 180s and decides not to share the thing that happened in the childhood. Like,
not. I'll just explain. Maybe I'll extend it a little bit, you know, past just one specific instance, because I never had.
I'll extend it a little bit past one specific instance. There is a specific instance because I never had a specific. The cognitive dissonance with this young man is crazy. I'll extend it past a specific instance because I never had a specific instance. Cope, denial. Cope, seethe, denial.
Like something super brutal that was like memorable, like, you know.
What do we think? Bullied for looks at school that created like some gnarly fucking sense of insecurity that is going to probably follow him all the way into later life.
Hands pulled down in the middle of the cafeteria tier, but it was really.
So I bet psychologically it was absolutely at that level.
Really just.
But he's coping.
How many social outings I was missing out on, you know, due to the fact that I was, you know, slightly neurodivergent. And I think my lack of getting the halo effect, because I didn't really grow up attractive. So I think these things, and I would just be sitting, you know, in my room a lot of the time on like, you know, Friday nights and stuff like that. That kind of led me down the rabbit hole, I would say. I think it wound up, you know, being for the best, but that kind of made me realize, like, you know, I saw often all the attractive people being super sociable and me not so much. So that was probably one of the most formative things.
So the Looksmaxxing community talks about two concepts. So there's soft maxing and hard maxing. Maybe you kind of want to differentiate these. And what I was going to ask is, are there any useful soft maxes?
If you look at it through this lens, if you take the time to take a step back and not see him as this like bravado, you know, like influencer, shit poster, you know, because he's quite a provocative guy. He says the N word and stuff. When you just look at him as a human being, like a highly autistic guy who's just trying his best to like, it actually becomes quite sad. I don't know about you. It actually becomes quite sad. Hey, Hector.
Return.
The return of Hector. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Cool.
Let's see.
Yeah, if you wanna say anything, just let me know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So soft maxes are.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wouldn't hop on if I didn't have a take.
Okay,
so,
cool. Go. You never know.
So,
people do the weirdest shit.
Yeah. So, here's kind of a thought that I had. In my experience, right? Like every girl, like I'm Gen Z, and like every girl that I've ever dated has like functionally had some sort of body dysmorphia. Like they're like all pretty, and then they just all trip about like stupid shit. Yeah. And I'm wondering if maybe like, I don't know, like the male Looksmaxxing thing. I mean, that has to be like the spreading of the kind of female phenomena of body dysmorphia, like to men. Yeah. If this is a thing that's becoming more common, like I can't think of a source other than it has to be some sort of body dysmorphia.
And maybe it's not even gender specific. Maybe it's that women got it first because they had the magazines when we were pre-internet. And then it became like even more reinforced by the internet to the point where now even men are getting it. Like maybe it isn't a gendered thing as much as we think it is. Like, and maybe actually looking at these like broken, jaded, fatherless, Looksmaxxing men might help us understand more about the broken, jaded, fatherless women that we have running around society, painting their faces and trying to look pretty at all costs. Maybe it can help us have some sympathy and some compassion.
Well, and because I think these guys are probably typically more honest too. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, that's a very good point. And like I say, you can say a lot of stuff about Clav. You can't knock him for his authenticity. You really can't.
Yeah, like if you got him comfortable enough, that like same trauma question, like if you somehow got him to do an interview with you or something.
Yeah,
and you buttered them up enough, then that real moment, right, that would come out, and that could actually be kind of a useful insight.
His kids can be brutal, you know. High school, I'm sure it was fucking brutal, whatever it was. Not like, you know, like he says, not pants down in the cafeteria kind of stuff, but psychologically, same shit, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, hot take, man. I rate that a lot. Fuck. Let me just play a few more minutes of this, and then we'll wrap it up with some Dorian Gray.
Things that are not very extreme looks maxes, that would be something like getting a tan, getting lean. And these are phenomenal, right? Soft maxing is actually going to get you, in terms of if we were to make a pie chart on what's accomplishable from soft maxing and hard maxing.
I think I'm Gen Z. I think saying I'm Gen Z is probably the most millennial thing you can say. You know what, guys? I'm going to knock it on the head there. That's 3 hours. I've been streaming for a very, very long time. I just wanted to have a yap. I just wanted to have a waffle. I'm not like, you can learn about the difference between hard, soft maxing, looks hard maxing, or whatever the fuck it is in your own time. I'm simply making you aware that this phenomenon exists. I'm simply asking you to go out and to go forth into the world, in all of the weird little communities that I'm sure you're a part of, and to put the feelers out for me and maybe find a looks maxer. You know,
Yo, am I being accused of being a millennial, dude?
No, I'm kidding. I think it was me. I think it was me that said it. Actually, I've been saying it all fucking night. Gen Z. But like, it's probably why you said it actually, because I was saying. But I want you guys to go out and find me someone that I can talk to about this, that I can have an honest and authentic conversation. Obviously, we're unlikely to get Clav, but someone similar of the same ilk would be great, in the same vein or the same world, because I'm fascinated by these people. I want to know where it comes from, and I think actually, if some of these guys can be helped, I would love to see that happen. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see some of these people snap out of it and realize that there's more to life than futile, fading beauty.
It's such a weird pathology. I don't even know what it would take to snap him out of it. I mean, probably a good couple conversations with Gnome, possibly, if anything.
I'm going to say it, Hector. Psychedelic drugs.
Yep. That could help too.
Yeah. And obviously, you guys can all comment me in the comments for that. This is not medical advice. I want to close, actually, and let me see if I can find something to describe it to you. Maybe I can just do it myself. Hector, are you aware of the story of the picture of Dorian Gray?
I'm aware of the novel. I've yet to read it.
A lot of people in our circles avoid reading it or have an aversion to reading it. And to be honest, man, I don't blame them. It's faggy. It's really faggy and gay. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's written in the most exquisite language. Oscar Wilde, Victorian playwright, very gay. Very, very.
Well, it's kind of like an expansion of the story of Narcissus in a way. It's almost like modernizing it.
Wilde was classically educated. He went to Trinity College in Dublin, studied classics. He knew all about Psyche and Eros and Narcissus.
Yeah.
And he's building a modern myth in Dorian Gray. What he's essentially doing as a gay man is he's acknowledging the corruption and the fetishism in his own gay sexuality. Because like many gay men, older gay men as he was when he wrote Dorian Gray, he was into guys who were younger. He wasn't a pedo, but he was into like dudes who were like twinks, like 18-year-old, 19-year-old boys, right? I'm not promoting it. I'm not promoting it. I couldn't care less. YouTube will ban me either way. Like, my point I'm trying to make is that, like,
it's been that way since Athens, right?
Precisely. It informs the current of the story, and it informs his own, you can tell his own socio-sexual projections that he put into this masterwork. It's the only novel he ever wrote. He wrote a lot of plays, but it's the only novel he ever wrote. And what it is it's the story of a young man who is very, very beautiful and dashing and captivates the London high society social circle one summer. And in doing so, he meets this artist who actually in the book, he's never gay because it's Victorian times and they have to be very prudish, but it's implied that the artist has a crush on this boy, this young man, that he fancies him. And the idea is that the artist's love is an affection and attraction for this young boy is so powerful but so corrupt that when he asks the young man to sit for him for a painting, for a portrait, and he actually paints the man, paints his image, some kind of spell is created where this like gay artist creates in this painting almost like makes this painting almost a magical object, like a talisman, like a magical mirror. And for whatever reason that isn't ever fully explained in the novel, but doesn't need to be for it to make sense, the mirror starts to age, but Dorian Gray himself never does. Like the character of Dorian Gray himself never does. And it's this whole beauty. He ends up becoming incredibly ashamed of the painting and hiding it away in the attic. I won't spoil any of the plot twists for you. It's an incredible novel. I highly recommend you all read it. And the reason that I highly recommend you all read it is that it fully encapsulates the faggotry of our times. And I'm not talking about homosexual people when I say this. I'm talking about Clav. I'm talking about the obsession that in previous generations only existed in gay, highfalutin Victorian British society. The obsession with male youth and male beauty and male, like that, I think is really, if you read Dorian Gray, you'll understand. Even Oscar Wilde, as you can tell from reading it, acknowledged that it was dark and that it was toxic and that it corrupted people. And that it was,
I was gonna say I'd highly recommend that Clav read that book.
Yes, so would I. And any of you who are listening who are flirting with the idea of Looksmaxxing, or maybe if you're above a 6 and you're flirting with the idea of Looksmaxxing, or if you're one of those guys who was a 3 or a 4 and you've got yourself up to a 6 and you're still in the world of Looksmaxxing, all I can really recommend to you at this juncture is that you read Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Suffer yourself through the lengthy prose at the beginning and how camp and how dramatic and melodramatic it is, and actually read it, because it's a cornerstone work of Western literature, and it perfectly fucking exemplifies what is going on with Clav. I will be back on Saturn's Day with Richard Ruack for a stream about Atlantis, if you all would care to join me. Really appreciate it.
Gotta get the Atlantis lore.
Hell yeah. I really appreciate everybody who donated, especially Axie, especially Dudemon. You guys are fucking insane. I'm just looking back through these. Wild. Absolutely wild. Thank you so much for your continued support, and I will see you guys on Saturday. Anything from you, Hector?
I think we pretty much covered it. Just don't fall into the narcissist's mirror, right? I don't know, don't do that.
Yeah, you really are.
Eat your vegetables. Everyone was like making sushi in chat or whatever. Do it. It's true.
Good looking as you think you are. You need to eat your vegetables, and you need to go and read the book, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Good night, chaps. Good evening.
Oh yeah, good night.
Good morning. Peace.